expose healthcare practitioners to this pandemic. We thank you for our lives. We thank you for grace. Father, we pray that this meeting that we are having is going to be one that we are going to get to good resolutions. Everything will resolve. You see us through to be able to achieve all our set objectives in Jesus' name. As we all come here, both online and offline, it will guide us back to our places safe and sound in Jesus' name. In the name of the Father, and of the Holy Spirit.
Nigeria's come on men to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes was joy in England to serve with heart and voice. One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
The president of the Pharmacists Society of Nigeria, represented by Dr. Ejiro Foyibo, the deputy president South, and also the vice chairman of the Commonwealth Pharmaceutical Association. You are welcome, ma. Our guest speaker, Mr. Femi Ademola, the group executive director of Cordros Capital. You're welcome, sir. The national secretary of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Prince Benga Falabi. You're welcome, sir. Distinguished NAIPians, vice chairman, second vice chairman NAIP, Mr. Chinedu Mulia. You're welcome. Distinguished NAIPians, distinguished pharmacists, you are welcome. As we proceed, I will be able to look into the participants' session to welcome other distinguished guests and other pharmacists on this platform for this meeting. We once more want to apologize for, being late, starting like 10 minutes behind schedule. But we are grateful to God that we are still here for this meeting. So if we look at our programs, our program of events, we need to give some updates now for all our members. And then after that, we will take some questions and comments before we now go into committee's inauguration. And then after that, we will listen to the president of the Industrial Pharmacy Session of FIP. And then after that, we'll be ready to have the session for the economic outlook. So on this note, I welcome everybody once more to this first bi-monthly meeting of NAIP, and I will proceed to give some updates on what we've been doing since the national conference of the PSN that held at Oshogbo in November. At that national conference, we gave an update on what NAIP has been doing concerning the establishment of pharmaceutical manufacturing parks in Nigeria. Of course, we have always briefed NAIPians that we have been working with Anambra State, Ebonyi State. At some point, we worked with Oyo State. And then during our conference at Kano, we also pushed for the pharma park at Kano. And we were able to send in our proposal through the Commissioner for Commerce and Industry. We also, at that Oshogbo conference, in our technical session, we had Dr. Odi from Niger State asking and inviting NAIP to come to Niger State to establish the pharma park. we also followed up with him on that. And as we speak, we have received invitation from the Commissioner for Health of Niger State to come over for some conversations on the farmer park. But then Ebonyi State moved on very strongly sometime in October. And by December, we were already looking at tidying up the MOU that will set the stage for the groundbreaking. And that was what happened on the 3rd of February. We were invited to Ebonyi State by the governor for the sign of the MOU and the groundbreaking event. Of course, all of that was shared on our platform, but just for the purpose of update. Also, we know that we have been talking with Walter Smith. Walter Smith has established a modular refinery in Ibigbe, Egbema, in Imo State. And we are in conversations with them to set up a farmer park next or adjacent to that refinery because they already have power there, they have water. They hope that the hydrocarbons that will come out of that modular refinery can be useful in the industry. So we are having conversations with them, and we have this, the last meeting we had with them was sometime like 4 weeks ago, and they are working with UNIDO. They have already set up a team, and they have conversed with us, and we are telling them that for us to come in, we want to know what size of land they would like to set aside for the farmer park, and that it will not be something that we want to be contiguous with other industries. It has to be separated, and there might be need to carry out, despite the feasibility that they have done in terms of setting up an industrial park in that area, we may have to do industry-specific feasibility for farmer because of the peculiarity of farmer. Around that Owerri side, yes, we have a market in Aba, thriving. We have one in Onitsha, so it may be well situated, but there may be some other things we may have to look at. So they have told us that when next they have the meeting with the UNIDO group, they will invite NAIP to come over and share our views. So on the farmer park, we are going on very strongly. Now, for the Ebonyi State, where we have done groundbreaking, it's expected that within the next 6 months, we should mobilize at least to site to begin to clear the place and show a sign of commitment. So the next direction we have now is to set up the SPV, and also it will be the NAIP's responsibility to fund that SPV for starters. So at least they can get an office, get some staff, and then they start running. The idea is that the SPV should work hard at getting investors who could, participate by debt or equity. They can take equity in the SPV, or they can give us loan to develop the place. So all of that will happen, but this meeting may not afford us the opportunity to give all of that detail. So during comments and questions, we would like to hear, how we can go about this. But during our extended ESCO meeting of yesterday, we were already nursing the idea that some of our members who are ready and interested to set up their plants in that Ebonyi farmer park may have to make some commitments in terms of, what we agree, so that we form the catalytic funding for that SPV. So, but we are open to more suggestions on how to proceed with that. Then I will move on to the NAIP welfare packages. I believe that all of us are aware of our group life insurance scheme. As we have always said, many of us have not subscribed to that scheme. And since 2 years, we set up that scheme, we have lost about 5 of our members who didn't subscribe. We have also lost spouses of our members, and none of them could access any benefit from this scheme because they didn't subscribe. And I think the sum assured is 1 million for our member, 500,000 for the spouse. And then there is an accident rider of 100,000 for hospital bills. Okay, and we expected that a lot of our members will, participate in this group life, especially for those whose companies have not don't have this policy. So we want to call on our members once more to subscribe. As of yesterday, when the operations manager gave us an update, we hear that only about 18 people have subscribed. And of course, we hope that more people will do. And that runs from March to February. So it will run from March 2021 to February 2022. So we hope that many more people will subscribe. We are not praying for, any bad news, but at least this is what is proper to do, so that in the event, death is is a given. If it happens, at least there is a little bit of something for the association to give to the family. Then also, we have started the health insurance scheme, which we have publicized, and our HMO is Novo Health. We have sent out flyers to that effect, and we expect that our members can pick up any of the packages that are there, either for themselves or for their families. Particularly this package is not only for NAIP members, but for all pharmacists, and especially for those whose companies do not have a health insurance policy. So we do this for smaller companies, so that when we pull the numbers, it will be reasonable for us, and then we can negotiate even further with these insurance firms for our members. So this is yet another call for everyone to participate as much as is possible. Please let your management know about this. Some of us may have heard, but I think if we let our management know about this, especially where these policies are not in place, it may be helpful for us, all of us, as NAIPians. We will now go on to brief you on the NAPA-NAIP collaboration. I believe that all of us are aware of that collaboration, where the industry is partnering with the academia for research. And the whole idea is to commercialize products of indigenous research. So that collaboration has brought about the NAIP herbal cough tincture. So that product, we are working with one of us in the industry to commercialize it. At this stage, we are working on an NDA before we can share some vital information with them on that product. So once that is done, and they are convinced about the efficacy of this product and the commercial viability, they will now progress to, manufacturing it. Please, there are lots of distractions for me, please. So sorry for that. There were some distractions. So the NAIP extract. So sorry. So the NAIP herbal tincture, once it's commercialized, then we will be happy that at least this venture has gotten us somewhere. But as it were, NAIP has also given a second tranche of the grant to NAPA earlier this year in January, 2.5 million, to develop the second product, based on the roundtable we had with NAPA. That was in 2018. We identified these two products, the cough tincture and this polyherbal antioxidant cream. We also had the second roundtable with NAPA in September of last year, 2020, during which 5 proposals were presented. So we hope that while we are working on the second product, that NAPA will suggest to us, maybe make suggestion to us on the next proposal to work on. So for that, the 500,000 that is, that's the balance of the 2.5 million, is already set aside to pursue that third proposal. So we are happy that this collaboration, is going on very well. And we hope that by April, May, during our conference for this year, that second product will also be presented. And it will be our joy that one of us too, any of our companies that are interested in producing that product, of course, we go through the process of getting expression of interest and then getting it licensed to the company for production. So that's that on NAIP-NAPA collaboration. Now I have the final update to give here, which is on NAIP program till June 8, 2021. So one will be wondering, why June 8, 2021? This current ESCO, the tenure is lapsing at our conference that has been slated for May 18th to 21st. May 18th to 21st. That's that's when the ESCO has scheduled for our conference this year. The conference will take place in Lagos. So during that conference, we are going to have our AGM and our elections. So what the current ESCO has tried to do is to at least, have a timetable of the programs we have leading up to the date of the inauguration of the new ESCO, which is set at June 8, 2021. So after the elections at the AGM in May, we'll have like 2 weeks to prepare for the inauguration of the new ESCO. So in that order, today we are having our bi-monthly meeting. By March 23rd, 2021, we are going to have the CEOs Forum. March 23rd, we are having the CEOs Forum. And that CEOs Forum is very important that we have it because of some of the issues that are on ground presently, particularly this farmer park issue. Now that we've gotten Ebonyi State and we are there, we would like to, confer with our CEOs to let them know how far we have gone and what needs to be done, as we will need their cooperation all the way for the establishment of that farmer park in Ebonyi. And also as we are going to Niger State for the same conversation. So there will be need for us to, have that forum to discuss how we progress with the park. Then the second important conversation we'll be having with our CEOs appertain to the CGMP visit by our regulators, NAFDAC. A lot of CEOs have called and a lot of our members have expressed concern that it's impacting their business negatively. And even the whole thing is still not very, logical. In the sense that these visits are supposed to be visits to ascertain the compliance of these facilities to CGMP. Now, because of COVID, trips are not being made, but now those who have made payment now continue the process of registration, even when these facilities have not been inspected. So for some, it's looking as if it is, just because of the payment and not because of the quality checks that needs to be done. Then the second one is when these facilities are checked and found out to be, compliant, those who still get products from that plant are expected to still make some payments for, I think, for documentation or something, I don't know. So many people are expressing concern. So we need to discuss it and see if we can seek for the audience of the DG once more. She's very, she welcomes, conversations, and we believe that she will, give us another opportunity to discuss this. So we would like to see our CEOs come out to speak to this, because the whole essence of the association is to work for the members. But if it is not a major concern, if it's such a localized thing and it's not really a big issue, then we need not, push for it. But these were the complaints we've got from some of our members. Then, thirdly, is the debts, receivables, debts owed Pharmaceutical companies, members of NAIP, by federal government institutions. You'll recall that last year, we called for members to submit their receivable profile so that we can approach these institutions. Unfortunately, very few people, responded. Out of a membership of about 300, only 30 people responded. And when we computed for those 30, it turned out to be about 3 billion. That was what was being owed those 30 companies. And we felt that if half of our members had responded, we would have been able to get a better picture. So notwithstanding with that figure, the president of the PSN went on advocacy. He went to the Minister of Health. He went to the Budget Office. He went to the Senate. He went to the House of Rep. We understand that the Senate or House of Rep are considering a public hearing on the matter. So we need to follow up with it, because it's important for us to do that. Our sector is not so robust. We're in finance. So for us to come and have a huge debt burden is also another problem for the industry. So we hope that will happen. But then NAIP took the responsibility of writing directly to each of those institutions. So we wrote them, and we got some responses from some of them. Some said, that what we wrote them was not correct. They are not owing so much. Some wrote and said, yes, they know they are owing, but we should give them that time to pay, and all of that. But we have gotten some, feedbacks from some of our members that some of the places that have been very tough to receive their payments, some payments have started coming out. So, but this is not supposed to be a one-off event. So we need to follow up again, do our receivables maybe as at December 31st, 2020, so that if we are going for this public hearing, at least we'll have figures to present to say this is, the situation as of today. And then we also noticed that when we did that, we profiled that debt. We saw some institutions that are particularly heavy with those debts. So it is something that we would like to continue to do for the health of our businesses as an association. So these are the three major things we would like to discuss with our CEOs. So I think I've taken quite some time, giving these updates. So I will yield the floor now to questions, comments. We can start with those who are in this venue. Those who are joining us online, I hope they are, Raji, I hope you can raise your hands if you have questions or comments to make, and let's be, very brisk with that, because we still have our theme of today, the economic outlook, to listen to. So we hope that by 2 o'clock we are done with these updates and the inauguration of the committees, so that our guest speaker can take us through the topic of today. So I now yield the floor for questions and comments. So those online, you can raise your hand, and then Raji, maybe if you can show us the screen for those online, so that we can take questions. If we have anybody who has questions or comments to make, please, you can have the mic.
Good afternoon, everybody. All protocols out. Mr. Chairman, sir, my observation is on this debt being owed by this institution. Is there no way we can have a format where we could try to minimize this debt? Because I know a lot of people have gone into trouble because of it. Some jobs have been lost over it. No company wants to listen to that. Companies are closed, a lot of things. I mean, I'm looking at what is the way forward? Because we must collaborate this time around. Because when you say that there are some key institutions that have been recognized to be known, to be notorious for those debts, so how do we go about it? Because the only way I see about it, that there is need for us to really collaborate. Because I remember those days, reps used to share information. They used to freely, they say, look, this doctor does not pay, this does not pay, this hospital they owe. I'm just looking at it because at the long run, if we don't start collaborating, sharing of those vital information, there's still going to be more trouble in future. That's the way I look at it. Thank you very much.
So I'll respond to that. Raji, are there any people, any of our members raising their hands online? Are these all the people that are online? Okay. All right. Ame, thanks for that comment stroke question. What we intend to do really is we start just like we have started. Some have shared their, info. Many people are afraid, because they're confidential thing. They were not so certain when they were giving us that information that, it was not going to get into wrong hands. But I think since 1 year we've done this, nobody has seen, anybody's data. So I want to use that as an opportunity to, as an evidence to ask people to be more cooperative. Because many people are really scared. They give you this information, and before you know it is all over the place. So one, we need to trust that NAIP will handle this very well. Two is what we could do is maybe have members-only portal in our website where some of these things, the summaries of these things can be shown, because we were also thinking of credit bureau in a way, in a sense that if, like the banks do, they can have these things, and those who are owing, maybe everybody will shy will say pay first before anybody supplies you. But also know we have our peculiar challenges. Some people, many of our products have life. So even when people are owing them, they still believe that if they can give them those products to consume, at least they will owe them, but it doesn't expire on them. So some of those things are the dynamics of what happened. So even when you know that an institution is owing, they will still call for bids, and people will bid and still go and supply. Okay, it's maybe a bit out of frustration. But now, what we can do is offer that. If we have something like that, then those who know that this institution is owing can stay away. Then again, we have to look at the legality of it. That's why I'm talking about members-only portal. But if you come and throw it open, there may be issues. Maybe they can sue or something like that. But your comments are very much welcome and in order, because the more we cooperate and collaborate, the better. Because if you put pressure, a bit of pressure, when a CMD knows that the pharma industry have recognized this institution as a no-go area, of course there will be an impact there. They will feel it sometimes when they are calling reps to come and supply and they are not getting anybody. They will know that they need to pay. So that's also why we are going to through the Senate, what we are trying to see, whether through budget office, they can pay those debts direct to us, insofar as we can substantiate, and they too can corroborate that they are actually owing this money. Because some of them had issues, it is from the drug revolving fund they used to solve so many problems. So instead of plowing back the money to drug revolving fund, they use it to do other things, which at the end of the day make them to owe. So I know. I know. So those are the kind of pressures that we will try to see if we can apply to let them know that if you have diverted money from the DRF, you have fallen foul of the law. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Any further comments? Unfortunately, I don't want to connect to the Zoom because it will be interfering. But I don't know, Raji. If nobody is raising up his hand, then maybe we can continue. For those I can see on the screen, I want to welcome the MD of Carrot Tops, Pharmacists Agoase, to this meeting. I can also see our Director for Publicity, Media and Publicity, Pharmacist John Adekoje. I can see MD of Ascene Laborex, Paul Hogan. You're welcome, sir. Thank you for being here. I can see Nwadinobi of IDA. You're welcome. And our big brother, Pharmacist Tometi from NAPSA. We are happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us for this meeting. I can see Pharmacist Uzo Amotoku. Welcome, ma. Our Secretary in Anambra State, Pharmacist Felix Ngogu. You're welcome. Gbenga Bambe, our Chairman, Kwara State. We thank you for joining us. I can also see Pharmacist Matthew Azorji is the MD of NAIP Pharmaceuticals. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us for the meeting. Sir Victor Ajanaku, I just saw you. I just saw you. It has disappeared. This is the first time I'm seeing you since our conference in Kano. Thank you for joining us for this meeting. And we have our president, Industrial Pharmacist Section of the Federation of International Federation of Pharmacists, FIP, Pharmacist Shola Sholarin, who is also a former chairman of NAIP. You're welcome, sir. Happy to have you join us for this meeting. Okay, so as more people are coming, we'll be recognizing them. But at this point, I want us to progress on the agenda for the meeting so that we're on time for our speech. So in the absence of further questions and comments, we'll go right ahead to inaugurate the committees that we set up. There are 3 of them. We are grateful that Pharmacist Ame has joined us here today. We're expecting Pharmacist Chidi Nwomono, who has just walked in. And then Pharmacist Benson Adeyinka may not be able to join us. He has sent in his apologies. But notwithstanding, I'll run through the 3 committees we are setting up and why we are setting them up. The 3 committees are, first, the Conference Planning Committee. Of course, every year we have our conferences. So this year, our conference is going to take place in Lagos State. And this will be the first in the life of the tenure of this administration. For close to 40 years, okay, 20 conferences, not 40, but that's 40 years of our life, and 20 conferences we have had. All of them had taken place in Lagos. So when we came on board in 2017, we thought that we should begin to take the conferences to other parts of the country, since it's a national association and we are growing. So that was when we went to Ilori in 2018. And then after that conference, went to Anambra State in 2019, and then to Kano State in 2020. So we are coming back to Lagos for 2021. And the committee is set up to plan and execute that conference. We have as the chairman of that committee, Pharmacist Ame Ebonware. I got the pronunciation right. It used to worry me sometimes. So Pharmacist Ame has been around for a long time. He's the MD of NGC. And he has all the experience that we need to deliver this conference. Members of that committee are Pharmacist Beatrice Onoha, Pharmacist Makwo Mobike, Pharmacist Maureen Edeme Nwachukwu, Pharmacist Folorenshaw Abdul Afiz Alaran, Pharmacist Emmanuel Ogejuma, Pharmacist Chimezie Obiwulu, Pharmacist Angela Amuche, and then the secretary of the committee is Pharmacist Joy Adeshino. So the way we're going to do it is we will inaugurate all the three committees at the same time, and then the chairmen of these committees are going to give their acceptance speech. So the second committee is the Constitution Review Committee. As I've just mentioned to you, NAIP was established 1978. So now we are like we're going to the 43rd year. And the constitution we have is as old as 43 years. At the time it was established, basically, I think it was just pharmacists and industry in Lagos that were members. So when you hear about this bi-monthly meeting, it's just for those in Lagos who meet every 2 months. So, but when we began to have zonal branches or zones, we found out that constitution wasn't, very good enough. And then there are so many lacunas in the constitution. So at the AGM in Kano last year, the AGM approved that we review the constitution, being that PSN Constitution 2 was under review at the time. So the whole idea is to conform ours to the new PSN Constitution and also make it peculiar to us as industrial pharmacists. And the thinking here too is that we will also look at the constitution of other industrial pharmacist groups outside Nigeria so that we make it, what it should be. So we have in that committee, Pharmacist Chidi Nwomono as the chairman. We have Pharmacist Osareti Jayola as a member. We have Pharmacist Yemi Onanuga as member. We have Pharmacist Sudoka Adego as member, and Pharmacist Michael Enema as the secretary of that committee. We expect that they will come up with the first draft within 3 weeks, 4 weeks max, so that it will be circulated to all our members. So everybody reads it, makes their input, and they see how to integrate those inputs, and they bring out the second draft, about 2 weeks after that. The whole idea is that before we meet for our conference in May, the constitution would have been, would have had some consensus on the constitution, such that at our AGM, we will now, is it approved now or ratify the constitution at the AGM? So that is what is going to happen with that. Then we have the third committee, which is the General Purpose Committee. Yes, this ought to be a standing committee, but we never really had it. But now we are setting it up. Perhaps they will just give them one function before we leave, unless something else comes up. But the one function we want to give them, one assignment we want to give them, is to develop the salary structure for the industry. I recall when we were young reps, if you came into Lagos at the time, if we are just leaving school, you go to PSN Secretariat and you had an idea, how much it was for locum, how much it was for, a young pharmacist. The reps also know how much they were being paid. But there's so much fragmentation now. And often and on, we have inquiries from within the country and even outside the country. Those who are coming to set up pharma companies in Nigeria want to know, how much it is to, hire some talents, right from entry level up to, director level. So we thought that as an association, we could come up with something that is a suggestion, a guide for whomsoever, wishes to have a look at it. So the way we want to do it is to recognize that all the companies are not of the same size. So there are smaller ones, medium ones, big ones. At the same time, our members are spread across the country, and the cost of living, is not the same everywhere. So there's also that sometimes that affects the pay. And then we want to see that we work for every pharmacist in the industry. So it's not just about sales and marketing people. We want to see that those in production at entry level what we suggest they should be earning. Those that have done maybe 5 years, what they should be earning and all of that. And to match this is not just to talk about how much you need to earn, but also the skill sets that the person who is owning, going to earn this should be able to deliver to his company. So this is something we want to do and want to see that it's done, before the end of April. And maybe for us, we're going to put it on our website, to have been of service to the industry. So these are the 3 committees we want to set up. And the way we're going to do it is the 3 committees will be inaugurated at the same time. And then the chairman will take 2 minutes to make the acceptance speeches. So I would like the chairman who are here to be upstanding. Benson, wherever you are, if you are online, maybe you stand up where you are, though we can't see you. Pharmacist Chidi, please be upstanding. So all other members of the committee, Chimeze can be upstanding as well. All other members of the committee where you are, what we're going to do is to just, make a pledge. We will start by saying I. You will mention your name, your position, and your committee. So, for example, I am chairman, conference planning committee. Then I'll take you through the rest. And that will be it. Just a very quick stuff. So we start. I, your name, position, and committee. By the help of God, pledge to cooperate. All of you, please. Pledge to cooperate with other members of my committee and use my best efforts to accomplish the assignment entrusted to me. I wholeheartedly accept this responsibility and will discharge my duties creditably for the upliftment of NAIP. So help me God. Thank you very much. Can we applaud them, please? So maybe in the order I introduce the committees, Ame, maybe you take to the podium and make your acceptance speech. Then after that, Pharmacist Chidi, you make yours. And then Benson, if you are with us online, we would like to hear you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Standing on existing protocol. I, Ademola, Amen, do wholeheartedly accept to serve the National Association of Industrial Pharmacists and to help put in all my best to ensure that the 2021 conference will be the conference that will be talked about for a very long time. I wish to solicit the cooperation of everybody here for us to take NAIP back to the envious position for which NAIP was known for, and to also actualize the goal of the chairman in taking NAIP back to the center stage where they belong. Thank you very much.
I stand on the existing protocols. I'm Chidi Womono once again, and I represent the Constitution Drafting Committee. The chairman has already given us the background of why it's necessary at this time to tinker with the old constitution to bring it in line with current events and situations. So on behalf of my committee, I pledge that we'll do a good work of the assignment. Thank you very much.
Pharmacist Benson Adeyinka, are you online? Are you with us? So you can give us your acceptance speech. Immediately after that, we are going to have an address from the president of the IPS of FIP, Pharmacist Shola Sholari. He's going to speak to us for about 5 minutes. So, Pharmacist Benson, are you there? So we have to look for another member of the committee who is online, who can take that acceptance speech on behalf of Pharmacist Benson. I saw Pharmacist Uzo Amato, who is the vice chairman of that committee. Madam, can you please unmute and make an acceptance speech for your committee, please?
Good afternoon, everyone.
She has unmuted, but we can't hear her. Raj, is there a problem with?
Hello.
Well, we've not heard anybody from, online. Is there a problem with the?
We can hear her.
Oh, you can hear
We can hear her.
Oh, great. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hereby accept the responsibilities conferred on us by the association. We'll do our best to come up with the required. Thank you very much.
Floor now to the president of IPS of FIP, Pharmacist Shola Sholari.
Yes, we can.
So I'm really very, very excited to be here. And first, an apology. Ignatius has tried very, very hard in the past to get me to attend past meetings and conferences. But unfortunately, one thing or the other crops up, and there is a conflict in schedule, and I'll be unable to attend. I mean, to be quite honest, it was intent on attending the Kano conference until COVID upset everything. So it's good to be back, and good to see that the scope of NAIP has expanded massively. The very great job that you are doing about members' welfare and Pharma City or Pharma Park and a whole load of other things are commendable. And I want to congratulate all of you for doing this human job. It only takes one to spend a year as president of NAIP or serving the ESCO of NAIP for that matter to understand how much of your life it practically, takes over. So I want to congratulate you all. So very quickly, of course, the last gratitude I want to express is the opportunity I had to serve NAIP, which served as a template for me to move on to FIP and ultimately become the president of the IPS section. This is significant because this is the first time this position will come to the Global South. And the implication of it is that we have an additional voice in all the organs of FIP. We have an additional voice in the council. NAIP is already represented, and I'm sure Ignatius was at the last council meeting. We have an additional voice in the board of pharmaceutical practice. And these are the places where decisions that affect pharmacy are taken. And these decisions are taken by people, mainly Europeans. And yes, they may be well-intentioned, but you can't fault them if they take decisions that tend to be biased towards their own realities. But the opportunity we have now will be to challenge such realities and tell them, look, there is a life in Asia, there is a life in Africa, there is a life in South America, and we have to reflect it in the policies of NAIP. What FIP is gunning for presently, the grand strategy of FIP is what is called FIP1. That means all practice areas and all organs of FIP, be it community, be it academic, be it administrative, and wherever you are in the world, you know, Asia, Africa, South America, we're all singing from the same hymn book. We're pulling in the same direction. And any strategy, any plan that FIP wants to come up with, it is going to be from the ground up. So I can assure you that you'll be hearing quite a lot more from FIP.
All the time, just on time.
I was talking about FIP1 and the grand strategy of FIP. So you'll be hearing quite a bit from FIP going forward, because in building strategy, in planning for anything, they want to pick the ideas from floor members, and floor members includes you and I. At the level of the IPS, what we are battling with, and this is global, is that industrial pharmacy practice is being challenged by a lot of other professionals. In the United States, production people are either engineers or people who graduated in the sciences. Most of the pharmacists will have been sucked into a career in the community or hospital. In Europe, it's something similar as well. It's only in Asia that, yes, the pharmacist still dominates the practice in industry. And the challenge we've had is how do we engage, how do we take back, so to say, our profession? Okay, and the way to do that is to be relevant both now and in the future. And that also applies to us in Nigeria, you know. I'll give you one or two examples. Just last week, it was mentioned that there will be drone delivery of medicines in Kaduna State. These are, I mean, definitely supply chain is the remit of industrial pharmacists. And the question is, are we ready? The regulatory and stability issues that will come with the drone delivery of medicines, have we prepared ourselves for it? Are we educating the public? Are we educating the government? Also, just a month ago, not a member of NAIP, but a Nigerian and a very active member of FIP, got his PhD in 3D printing of medicines. Basically, how that works is you have a printer, a 3D printer in your pharmacy, and the cartridges containing several different chemicals. And you just slot in these 3D printers, and you send in an instruction, and it prints out a tablet. These are the kind of future that we need to engage, and we need to, you know, get a grip of. Okay, it is good, the concept of the pharma park, and I want to encourage us that while we're thinking of small molecules that will come from the petrochemical plants in Imo State, we should also start preparing for large molecules. The country is at a loss now on what to do about vaccine for COVID-19 because we're just not there, okay? That's because we lost the capacity to make vaccines about 30 years ago, and the generation that were making it are already gone. In summary, IPS will be focusing on increasing the capacity of the industrial pharmacists to be relevant for now and in the future. We are going to make opportunity available for members to be able to network. You have a problem in your factory in Ikeja, if you throw it within the network, within members of the network, somebody in Costa Rica, in South America might have had the same problem and he will just quickly answer you. But this kind of networking are only possible if you are an active member of the FIP and the IPS. So I want to encourage us all, join the FIP, pick IPS as your section of choice, and please, if it's just something you're going to do once in a lifetime, try and attend an FIP conference. It is one thing that will make you very, very proud as a pharmacist, because you see valuable things that your colleagues all over the world are doing in their corners. We may think we don't have resources in Nigeria. It is worse in a lot of other places, and yet they attempt to do quite a bit. Lastly, the last advice I'll give, when we are planning, when we are thinking, let us think global, because it's beginning to be obvious that the pharmaceutical industry is too big for the Nigerian market. That's why people can owe us and walk away with it, because they know if you don't supply, the guy next door will come and beg that, oh, please take my own stock. So, but if we see the market as West and Central Africa, we've already doubled it. If you see it as the whole of Africa, we probably tripled it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, it is nice to be back again. I will try, I'm sure it will be a lot more difficult now, to attend a lot more of our events. And if they're online, of course, it makes it a lot easier. And I want to congratulate you all for the strides you've achieved. It's a lot. It's not the NAIP that I served in 2003 and 2005. And thank you for this opportunity. Thank you and God bless.
Back home, we are particularly delighted, and we pray that God will give you the wisdom and all it takes to chair, preside over the IPS of FIP. You can count on us any day, anytime, as your home constituency, and anything we can do to support you in that task, we are very much available. Thank you for your time. So we'll quickly move on to introduction of the special guests. Yes, I've introduced a couple of them, but for our time, we quickly need to move on with the program. So we have with us the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, ably represented by the Deputy President South, Dr. Ejiro Foyibo, FPSN. Dr. Foyibo is also the Vice President of the Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. So we are very glad to have you, ma. And we continue to commend you for the many good jobs you are doing, especially assisting the President. We've seen you in many occasions and chairing many meetings, especially when he's not there. And you have done a very good job. So we are very proud of you and we welcome you at NAIP. And we're happy to have you. And as I was joking with her the last time, I said, Madam, you have not been coming for our events. He said, but I only invite the president now. So I promised to be inviting her on her own merit to join us. We're happy to have you here, man. We also have with us our guest speaker for today's event. As we all know, the economic outlook is something we take every year at our first bi-monthly meeting, because we want to have an idea of what the economy, is talking about and where we are facing. It was our president, Sam Ohuabonwa, who once told us that he never knew how much the environment affected the company itself, because the company's capacity to perform is also a function of the global economy or the economy in the country. So since the tenure of Prince Falabi, we have always had this economic outlook at the first meeting of the year. So this time around, we are very privileged to have in our midst Mr. Femi Ademola, who is the Group Executive Director of Cordros Capital. It turned out that when I was fishing for him, I had to go to someone who said that Mr. Ademola is his Oga. And it turned out that he was the one that delivered the last year zone to us, Mr. Fidelis Okuago. And I'm sure we are all happy with what he did. So now his Oga is with us. So Oga, you're welcome. Thank you so much, sir. So in order not to, spend much time again, we want to invite our guest speaker to the podium, but not now. Immediately after, we would have taken the pharmacy anthem, and the president of the PSN will give us some remarks. So is the pharmacy anthem ready? It's not ready. So we have to sing our anthem. I will lead the stanza so that others can sing the chorus. Okay, we will take the pharmacy anthem. We pharmacists, we're proud of pharmacy. We members all of the glorious PSN. Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, as men of honor, we join hands for farmers. Pharmacists,
we are there.
Drug making,
we are there.
Dispensing,
we are
drug
there.
retailing,
we are there.
Wholesaling,
we are
drug
there.
detailing,
we are there.
Pharmacy,
we are there.
Drug advice,
we are there.
just name it, we are there. A round of applause. We want to welcome to the podium the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, ably represented by Dr. Ejiro Foyibo, FPSN. A round of applause for her, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Apology from the president, Pharmacist Mazi Ohambowa. You know, he's one of your own. He will want to be here, but he's currently not in the country, and so he has asked me to represent him today. So I want to welcome all of you. The National Secretary, I can say NAIP owns PSN now because the President is your member. The National Secretary is also your member. So if the President was here, we would say that the National Secretariat has been temporarily, we can even say now that the National Secretariat has temporarily relocated to this venue.
Because you are here.
Yes, it has temporarily relocated. I want to congratulate, let me observe the protocols first. The National Chairman of NAIP, Pharmacist IG, the IG without office, not like the IGP, the guest speaker of today, and all the other ESCO of NAIP. I want to congratulate NAIP. I don't even know how to put it. Do I say NAIP is a younger or older brother of ACPN? I don't know who is going to be the judge because I remember in my days as national chairman of ACPN, we always having this tussle between ACPN and NAIP. Pharmacist Lulu Ojo was the national chairman of NAIP. I knew there was always this struggle. I'm going to beat you today. Okay, this year I will do better than you. But in all, I think it was a good one because any program, most of my programs, I would discuss it with him, and then we were working together as one. So we have always been one, and we continue to be one. I want to say that for PSN, the backbone of PSN are the technical groups. The stronger the technical groups, the stronger the PSN. The PSN, as a body, gives support to the technical groups, because it's as the technical groups that the members actually feel the impact of PSN. So it is a thing of joy to see, for the PSN to see the technical group doing so much like what NAIP is doing. I want to follow, to agree with what the last speaker just said. It's a thing of joy seeing NAIP develop strongly. I'm not saying they are doing better than ACPN anyway, but it's a thing of joy, seeing the quality of programs that you have yearly. You have been so consistent in all that you do. So the PSN is happy for that. I want to also use this opportunity to congratulate NAIP on the signing of the MOU and the groundbreaking ceremony of the Pharma Park at Ebonyi. That is another major achievement for pharmacy, not just NAIP, but for pharmacy. I think this is the way to go. With the way this country is being run, we know that even at the community pharmacy level, we know what it takes to run your generator, your small generator, to power all that you do in that small community pharmacy. So coming together for this is a noble idea, and we just hope that by the grace of God, this will take off. And with what is on ground, all the other states, we come up, and it will be better for pharmacy as a whole. And like I said, your programs have been very impactful. I know that there are times you even organize programs. There was a time you organized programs for even young pharmacists and all that. Organizing programs that are very beneficial to your members. And sometimes it even goes beyond your members, Like even for today's topic, you're talking of 2021 economic outlook. I'm sure everybody, whether you're a pharmacist or whatever, that can link up to this is going to gain so much from it. So I want to thank you that NAIP is getting bigger, is getting stronger, and I want to implore that you don't grow weary. We have so much plan as Nigerians, as Africans, but our systems don't actually make it look like we plan for anything. So sometimes you can plan to cover like 200, 400 meters, but you end up covering just like 50. But we should not be weary. We will get there. With the efforts that we put in, gradually we will get there. So once again, I want to congratulate NAIP, especially my friend, the national chairman, Pharmacist Ikeja, for this, for his tenure. He has done very well. It's not because he's here, And I think NAIP is sometimes I just look and say, these people are just lucky. Maybe you take your time to choose your national chairman, but I think over the years, you've had people who are so dedicated, It's not that it's not the same in other technical groups, but you see the level of commitment of your national chairman, as if this has to be done, I must do it. They do everything, to ensure that members and the group grow. So I want to congratulate the national chairman and every member of NAIP, and say you continue to give that support that you give. Let me say something. Sometimes I'm jealous. Jealous in the sense that, no, it's true. There are times you organize certain programs and I say, I think IG, I must have mentioned it to you once that you don't put in so much effort in PSN as you put in. You know, I get jealous of the level that you take your programs to, you know, positive jealousy anyway, not negative one. So thank you very much. I hope that this coming year, this new year that we have entered, we've just started, will be a good one, and the lecture of today will be beneficial to all of us. So, IG, well done. God will see you through as you prepare, and God will give you someone that will take over from you, that will carry on the good work that you and your predecessors have done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You're welcome. So the stage is now set for the big masquerade. The Group Executive Director of Cordros Capital, Mr. Femi Ademola. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The chairman, NAIP, thank you very much for inviting me. The vice president of PSN, other executive of NAIP, ladies and gentlemen, I am very, very happy to be here, to be amidst of the most important people in the world at this time, both globally and in Nigeria. I mean, your sector is one of the best. Now, especially because of this pandemic that we are in. I know that a lot of us have listened a lot to so many economic outlook this year so far, from the Economic Summit Group, from even some of us that have been playing or doing things from the investment houses. They will have sent a lot of things to you to read about. So I'll make mine more very practical, and I won't speak too much of grammar and figures, but at least we'll still go through all of them. The way I have planned my discussion is to go through about 50 slides, average of 1 minute per slide, or even less, because I know the time is well spent. The content is going to focus on these 7 areas, and I'll make them very brief. Aviv, you heard about me. I mean, one thing that the chairman kept saying is the group director of Cordros Capital. So because of that, it would be nice for me to introduce my owners just for a few minutes, and then I'll go straight into what you have asked me to do today. Now, I want to briefly introduce Cordros Capital in a few slides. Cordros Capital is a leading finance services group. We started about 14 years ago, 2007 specifically, and we have grown well to 6 businesses over that period of time. We are an investment bank, which means we help people to raise capital, to advise them for merger and acquisition, to advise them so many things, even improving your performance and the businesses. We're also in securities trading. So if you are into stock market and buying and selling of equities, we can help you to do that. Same thing with bonds as well. We can also help you to buy FGM bond or corporate bonds, as the case may be. We're also into asset management, which means we help to manage purpose portfolio. As I speak, we have about 43 billion in asset under management that we manage for different institutions and individuals locally. We have registered funds, Naira and in dollars, that we manage on behalf of people registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, which means at least we are well regulated. And most of those funds sit with a custodian. So you can be sure that your investments are safe with Cordros. We're also into registrar business, which means we can help your company to manage the register of shareholders. And at the same time, we can also provide data solutions to you, back office work, to free you to go out there and make more money. We're also into trustee businesses. So if you want to do transaction, we can help you with as corporate trustee. We can also help if you want to borrow money from a bank to help to put something, the debenture together for the asset that you're going to use for collateral. And we can also help you to manage your own personal trust, will, trust, ensuring that things are okay whether we are alive or we are gone. Then we are also into insurance brokerage, which means we can help you to get good quality insurance at good rate from the insurance provider. This is the board of Cordros. Some of them are well known to you in the market. Engineer Oshezua is a gas engineer, worked with NNPC, was the founder of Gas Link. Now he's doing Linkso Group. They are very big in gas. Our vice chairman is Emekandu. Emekandu is an accountant. He's the founder of CNI Leasing. Although he's retired now, but he started CNI Leasing, a logistic business that provides marine logistics and transport logistics now. Austin Okere, who is a director, is the founder of Computer Warehouse, now called CWG. It's a computer business here. Babatunde Oketure is a stockbroker and corporate finance analyst. He's a retired stockbroker as well. Imba Nugo Ndeze is a lawyer, legal practitioner. And then we have Ikechuku Egboga, who is also an accountant, a PwC trained, although it is a co-founder of CNI Leasing, and they are now into oil and gas engineering business. Then Wale Agbenyogi is the group managing director, is a lawyer and a stockbroker. And I support him at the group level as step director. So you can see that we have diverse board with different disciplines so that we can help your business as well. In terms of management, we have all these guys managing the businesses. We have the securities guy, the asset management, the registrar, the insurance, trustees, and all of them around. In terms of what we've done so far in the last 2-3 years, we have worked on this kind of transaction. We work with CNI Leasing. We are doing a bond currently for Mikio, which I expect to be one of your members, as the case may be. We are part of Fidelity Bond that was just closed in December. We work with the Edo State government to raise bond. We are working with Geregu now, Itana, X-Energy, Oil and Gas, Value Alliance, all of them. Ondo State government, Global Bank, STI. We've also, last year, we did for May and Baker, SACO, and also PZ, ExxonMobil, as 11 PLC. So it tells you that at least we are very familiar with your industry as well. So that's about my honors. Let's go straight into the economic environment. So I'll start with the global environment. And the most important thing about the global environment today is the pandemic. No matter what it is, everybody's experiencing a kind of slow growth globally because of the pandemic. The lockdown here and there, people aren't able to do the work the way they're supposed to do it. They're not earning income. So what you have seen is both economy, they're trying to help. US is fighting about the 1.9 trillion, like I call it quantitative easing, that they want to push into the market to help people. It's not only the people they are helping, they're helping the economy as well. Because the economy depends on the spending of the individual, on the small businesses. So if the small businesses are affected, they are closing shops, there's need for something to be done. And that's what we've seen in terms of trajectory of the pandemic. And I put it just below, as of yesterday, what I got about the number of confirmed cases of COVID-19 worldwide is about 106 million. Death is about 2.3 million, and recovery is 78 million. Has this happened before? The answer is yes. And this is history of the pandemic. If you look at it from the 15th century, even maybe the early days, we've seen so many pandemics. The smallpox, the Asian flu, the MERS, even Ebola. But the one, HIV/AIDS, the one that is critical and very comparable to what we have now is the Spanish flu of 1918, which seems very close to this. The rate of infection, the way it's infecting and all stuff, the way it is. So in 1918, we have this story, and it is very scary like that. But it sounds very familiar. Look at it. These are isolation centers, like we had in the first wave and now in the second wave. And now, these are the people, the way they are doing, wear your mask. So the same thing. So the next thing is just that, have we learned about 100 years ago when this happened? Why are we having the difficulty? And I would guess that the reason why we are struggling and fighting is because we believe that technology has improved, development and research should be able to take care of this. Then because of the amount of information available now, it's very easy for us now to believe in conspiracy theory rather than focus on how we get well. So they intentionally did it. It's not by accident. They just want to kill us. Whether they want to kill us or not, we need to get well. That's the most important thing, we need to get well. So it's very familiar, and that's what I'm just pointing out here. Now, what would this do? What it's likely to do is that there's going to be like a downturn, significant downturn in 2021. But there's still kind of pickup that we're expecting in some kind of area. 2020 is bad everywhere. And the reason for this badness was because of the lockdown. You can see there's red in 2020 in almost everywhere except China. But even in China, China that used to grow at 9%, 8% before, was down to 1.9%. And that was because China was quickly able to move. They locked down the entire Wuhan, sprayed the place every day for so many days to make sure that they got out of the market. When we are still fighting and arguing about don't lock us down, they have quickly taken action. So what has happened is that 2020 was a bad year, but 2021, we're hopeful. Now, the reason for this kind of optimism is because you're not expecting any lockdown again. You're not expecting stimulation from everywhere. Most economies are going to stimulate the economy to make sure things get to work again, and therefore demands come up again, and then things start moving globally. In Africa too, we expect to see something very similar. 2020 was not too good as well. Even Nigeria, aggregately, we have about 3.4% in terms of economic downfall. In quarter three was seriously bad because about 6.1% negative because of the lockdown at that period of time. Despite the fact that they allow some industry to operate, the fact that private capital is what drives Nigerian market most. Small businesses that are able to operate at that time, it has effect on us. At the end of the day, the year ended in a negative territory of 3.4. But the expectation is that this recession will not last too long. And when I get to that part, I'll show how we're going to be. But this is how the region is. Pharmacists has helped us when they say that we should look beyond Nigeria to try to look for market elsewhere. And that's why it is very important for us to look at the global market and especially the regional market, where we can easily go to the Benin Republic of this world, the Niger Republic, the Chad, that are very close to us, or even Ghana. Now, in terms of what are we expecting to see, the oil is another thing. And it might have some scar, again, going forward into pandemic. Demand is not likely to quickly go up immediately because of the lockdown. People are just going back now to start work. People are just going to go back now to start putting things together. And what that will mean is that it will take some time before things will improve and we'll start seeing people buying more of oil. Now we can see a little bit of uptick in the oil market. 2 days ago, we have oil market getting to oil price getting to $60 per barrel. It's a good one. But the fact remains that, are we going to have this at the end of the year? Maybe not. And the reason for that is because of a little bit of optimism in the Middle East. For example, now the deal with Iran, there's tendency that they might have to go back to revisit the deal. Iran has insisted that if you don't remove all this action that President Trump put there, I won't even sit down at the table for you guys to go back and stop my nuclear work that I'm doing. So what that means is that if they decide to listen to Iran because they want them not to go into nuclear development, they might allow their oil back into the market. And if that happens, that's more supply again, which can also push the price down. Even when demand improves, when there's more supply, price go down again. So averagely, we are thinking that in 2021, maybe we can be selling at $45 per barrel. It's still okay, largely speaking, but it's not good for petrodollar economy like in Nigeria that depends solely on this income for our business. Domestically, what are we expecting? Again, non-oil is going to be the savior of the business again. Because, of course, like we just said now, there's going to be a little bit of offshoot because of this $60 we see now, but it's not likely to go to be that way going forward. So as we see action taken on Iran, Yemen, and co, there's tendency that oil price will go down again, and then we won't be able to see so many things from the oil sector. But non-oil will do better. In my view, I think some of the problem we faced in 2020 was self-inflicted. The border closure, while it has its merit, because it helps locally developed material, it helps people here that can manufacture, it shouldn't be total. Because even the people that manufacture locally, they also need to import as well. Like you guys, the pharmaceutical manufacturing, a lot of your raw materials too are imported. And if you have to import, and it takes you 4 months or 3 months to pass through the port because of the congestion, it doesn't benefit. So at the end of the day, the economy suffers. So it should have been a staged stuff in saying that it's only non-essential we are banning or we are stopping from coming in. The important ones should be allowed in, or something in a way to ensure that the porous border is dealt with in a better way rather than total close down. So now that they've decided to open the border again, we hope that it won't just be generic. It will be done in such a way that it benefits local manufacturer largely, and things can improve from that hand. So that's why we expect that the non-oil will still drive the economy. People will be able to do better. And by the second quarter, hopefully, we'll be out of the recession. Inflation, of course, that's a very important thing. I was just chatting with some people on my group today, and it's about we have been focused too much on devaluation without really bothering about inflation. The real problem is, in fact, everything is just working around it. We are trying to fight exchange rate volatility without care for inflation, because most of the action we are taking is having effect on inflation as well. It's not a monetary thing, so we are fighting it in the wrong way, in my view, because it's a structural problem. The reason why inflation is high is because of structure, not because of money. So it's more about, they believe that it is demand push, or people have too much money to buy, therefore let's mop up the money. But once they do that, they are also preventing you, the producer, from accessing money to be able to produce. It is when you produce, you have cost at a cheap rate to be able to produce more that helps the market more. So at the end of the day, it becomes too expensive for you to produce, and then the inflation becomes cost push. So whether you have money or you don't have money, you won't want to sell at a loss. And that's what's causing the inflation. So we need to work around that. So inflation is still going to be high still. Well, maybe we might have a little bit of, a slowdown in inflation, but not significant to go into the single digit. So for the year, you should expect something to be high. And what that means is that capacity for people to buy might be affected. But, again, this is theory. Most of the statistics we have in Nigeria may not even be 100% statistics. A lot of time we have less than 30% information in the formal sector. What transpires in the informal sector is more than 60 to 70% of the economy, which is not captured. So if you capture that, you'll find out that, in 2016, I noticed that Nigeria was truly in recession, because at that time was when we have this new administration. Most of the controls measures they are putting in place actually put a lot of pressure on the economy. Unfortunately, again, that also coincided with when we had the lowest oil price in the world, in Nigeria. That was $28 per barrel in the last decade. So revenue dropped. Then the government introduced the TSA that tried to block all the leakages in revenue. That was very tight on everybody. There's no doubt about it. And there was recession. You could see it when you go to Okeano Market. It was free. Marina Bridge was free for most of those December, which is very not typical. But last year recession, you can't even see it. You get to Okeani, everything was bustling. You go to Area Market, everything was bustling. There's no recession. Let's move on. The recession is just formal figure. And that's because a lot of shadow economy is happening in Nigeria that is high, that we don't know. And that is what we have to depend. And that's why you see many banks. When GT Bank started, it was a corporate bank. When Zenith Bank started, it was a corporate bank. But they saw that this is not going to last. The real money is in the retail sector, and they start to go down the line. That's why you have 200 and something branches of GT Bank now, 400 and 500 branches of Zenith Bank now. They decide to see that, look, there are so many other money outside of the 1% or 2% that we thought are the guy that's controlling the money. So our focus too should focus on those retail guys too, because they are probably not captured in these figures that we are banding here. Fixed income, and this is very important because when the chairman was giving updates, and also from Mr. Shalani too, there's some important thing about money, finances is very important. So for the business requires money. You need to go into R&D every now and then. You need to go into a lot of things to do. So how do we do this? It's not every time we have to depend on the government, and we have to look at the market to see whether the market can help us. So what do we do? What kind of money can we raise from the market? Equity money, fixed income money, mezzanine money, all of them, they have implication. If you take equities money, it means you lose control of your business a little bit, because anybody you bring in want to have shareholding in the company. If you feel that at that time that doesn't work for you, you go and try debt, fixed income. Fixed income in the bank at times can be very cantankerous, because the bank will tell you that, okay, no problem, we will give you approval, but it is subject to availability of cash. So the day you want to draw money, you say, sorry, CBN has more power money now. Can you give us 2 days? That has affected your business because you need that money that day. It's costly, so that can be a problem. Another thing is they put in their offer letter, this rate is subject to changes based on market forces or whatever. And then after 2 days of approving your loan at 13%, and I say, hey, CBN has changed the policy, the rate is now 17%. You can plan, so it's difficult. So what you see people do is they now go to the capital market. It's okay, let me get a fixed rate bond, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, that can help me to plan. At least It might be high today because the market shows that, but at least I know that it won't change. So I can plan on it. So if my cash flow can carry it, then I know that I'm done, then I'm fine. The money is in your pocket. It is you that now use the treasury to know what to place your money to until when you need them. So you are not depending on any bank to say, sorry, come back tomorrow for your cash, because you have your money. So because of that, it is important for us to check the market. What's the market doing? Is it a good time to go to the market now to raise money, to raise capital, because it is cheap to do it? A lot of companies have gone to the market now to raise bond because the rate is very attractive as we speak. So once you do it, MSOP just did a bond in December. I think they closed it early January. They did it at 10%. Now, even if you go to bank, it's very difficult for you to get a loan at 10% now. And they got it for the next 5 years. So whatever plan they want to do, backward integration, forward integration, they can use the money to do that for that period of time in stock. We're trying to do the same thing for Mikio as I speak now. 2 years ago, we did some capital raise for me and Baker. Of course, it's equity they needed at that time because they felt that, look, because again, you have to be careful about the debt you take. If it becomes too much, you'll be paying interest to the debt holder or to the bank, when your shareholders will be suffering. So they felt that, look, if instead of paying interest, we can convert it to paying of dividend, it makes more sense for us, our shareholders will be happier. So we go to the market to raise equity. So you have to look at what happened, what worked well for you at that particular point in time that you want to do it. So what we are saying now is that at this moment, the yield market looked very attractive. When we did bond for CNIs in 2018, we did at 16.54%. At that time, it was even low because when we started the transaction, the yield market was 22%. Even Treasury bill was selling at 20%. So now, we did at 16%, they were happy. Today, now if they want to go to market, they'll be thinking of, if it's more than 12%, they don't do it all. So that's the opportunity, so we can take care of the opportunity. And that's what we are talking about in the fixed income market. The yield market will remain low in 2021, arguably because even federal government does not want to pay too much money as interest on the borrowing they're borrowing, and they are taking borrowing every now and then. This year budget has 5 trillion of deficit. It has to be financed in a way. And if they raise the bond and the cost is too much, the next budget, they will have to be spending half of the money again to repay the loan. So it doesn't make sense for them. So this year, we expect that the fixed income market will be low. And therefore, we can go to the market to raise money. The equities too, there was a good opportunity because equities market and fixed income market, when I say fixed income, I mean commercial paper, bond. A lot of us here that work in corporates, in those corporates that are listed, they have tried to do it. So PLCs, they've tried to do CP and bond. So when the rate of the bond market is lower, people want more rate, more return. They go to the equity market. And that's why you see some rally in the equity market toward the end of, and that's why you can see the chart here. That something went up during the tail end of last year, by middle of the year, because the rate in the bond market was too low. So if I have money, I'm looking to make 15%. And the bond market is saying that I can only give you 5%. I'm like, for what now? Let me go to the equity market. So I buy equity. Once there's interest in equity, you drive up the price. And that's what we see. So as I speak now, people are actually looking at the stocks now. So if you have a good brand, good company, good story to tell, you might be able to just raise equity from the market in Nigeria. So that too is a possibility. If you look at the rally we're talking about now, you see the banking stock eventually rallied 10%. But unfortunately, the consumer good market did not rally that much. Why? Well, because of purchasing power capacity, which was dealt with because of the pandemic, the lockdown. You know, one of the people that suffered the most now is even those boys that used to park your cars on the road. Because when you park to buy something, our guy will wait for your car. 200 naira will come out of it. 100 naira will come out of it. When you are staying at home and not coming out because of COVID-19, there's no way to park. There's no way to make that money. So that too was in fact, this is the first time I'm coming to this part of Lagos in over 6 months. That's the truth. I've just stayed on my highland, JJ. That's my own confession. So that's the kind of thing. So that's probably the reason why we're having that negative in consumer product. But we expect something better this time because the recession will be over and then our strategy could help us. So this is the same thing as well with it. So you see things towards down and then it picks up again later in the end of the year. So there is opportunity in that market. Now let me spend a little time in the pharmaceutical industry. I don't know as much as you here know, but let me just speak some English grammar. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, so in the first instance, I just have a small thing for the healthcare industry about the contribution to the economy and what we see as some challenges for the industry. The healthcare contribution to GDP started going down for some reason. And that's probably because, again, like I said, we may not be capturing the appropriate data. We might be focusing on government expenditure only in terms of healthcare. But that's what it shows in terms of GDP contribution. But annual budget expenditure for healthcare is supposedly growing. And I said supposedly growing because, there's difference between budget and actual spending. And where is it spent on? We need to find. So, but this is just from the public sector. These are more totally they budgeted. How much has been spent, we wouldn't know. And yet our population is growing. So you expect that for a country like that, you should spend more money on human capital, health, and education. But that's what it is. Medical tourism is estimated about $1 billion every year. Now, I won't blame people that go abroad for medical tourism because quite a lot of things are not available here. We've seen a lot of rise in cancer, infection, or disease. I don't know whether it's infected or hereditary. I don't even know how the thing come to be, so I won't pretend that I know. But what you've seen is that we don't even have capacity locally, or we have not brought up our capacity locally to provide oncology medications. And therefore, they have to go abroad for treatment. I have somebody close to me who have been in UK since October last year for treatment in the hospital. It would have been a different ball game if we have the capacity locally here. If you go to Lekki, after you passed VI, there's no 100-bed hospital again till you get to Ekpe, except just one that they just built now in Lekki Phase 1. I'm not sure whether it's open yet or not, but just as you enter, like for example, you see one hospital they just built. The size, I don't know, I've not been inside, but the size appeared that it will be more than 100 bed. But you see other things in that place that I don't want to mention. But there's no. So that's kind of the reason why you see people having to go abroad to seek healthcare because we don't have enough. They said our average life expectancy is 52 years in Nigeria. That's a lie because my father is almost 80. Just laughing, I'm just joking. But look at this important indicator. Patient to doctor is 2,500 to 1. That's huge. And what that does is that it gives opportunity for pharmacy businesses. Because what you see is that people cannot access doctors. They will do self-medication. In fact, some people who they call doctor are those dispensing pharmacists. I'm feeling feverish. I've gone to see doctor. Which doctor? That pharmacy came in. Oh, okay. I understand. So it's an opportunity for us. I'm just trying to point that one out. But we know that there are challenges for the industry as well. And part of the challenges are the regulatory environment is very volatile. The massive brain drain. I mean, we know that. I mean, Pharmacist Solari just spoke about a Nigerian that just finished PhD in 3D something. I'm sure it's not in Nigeria. Why can't you bring that 3D here and start printing the tablet? It won't come here. So that's the so that's the brain drain problem we're talking about. Then infrastructure deficiency, no doubt about that. We know that problem. Madam was speaking last time, we were talking about generator for community pharmacy. I mean, we know that the cost of maintenance and fueling generators is about 6 times what they do with power. It could be very disturbing. Not even talk about the hazard of the fumes that come from it. So it could be very, very... Then the very important thing is the foreign exchange risk. Like we explained, even the pharmaceutical producers locally, they need input that need to be imported. And I don't think that they give you any special rebate on foreign exchange to buy those things. Not yet. Okay. So, I mean, this again is about the industry, what's happening to the industry, what has the government expenditure has been. This one is federal government. And then what's the contribution to GDP? Again, we've seen that it's growing, then later started going down. Again, another thing we did here was just to put together what are the healthcare expenditures by percentage of GDP, comparing Nigeria with other countries. Nigeria is still on the low side, just about 3.7%, just slightly above Ghana, 3.6%. But the important thing about this is that in Nigeria, the expenditure is actually from the private sector. Private expenditure in healthcare is actually higher in Nigeria than other places. Most other places, especially the developed countries, they depend on government. But we here, we use our pockets to bear the money. Now, what are the trends in the pharmaceutical industry? One of them is about the COVID-19 pharmaceutical industry. I don't know who talk about the vaccine. Maybe the Pharmacist Solari or the chairman. talk about vaccine, that we lost the chance about doing vaccines. Just because Nigeria was getting free vaccine from WHO or subsidized one from them, it's not fair on us. I've been hearing that the government has a vaccination company before, which is, so why is it not running now? It has been privatized, at least largely privatized, 51% bought by one private company. Why is it not working? At this time now, this is a good opportunity for us to come up with anything. Madagascar came out with some neem leaf agbo, and he said it was anti-COVID. For some reason, Nigeria bought. We took them seriously. So at this time, when anybody come up with some research thinking that it can cure or prevent COVID-19, we will listen. Because everybody, as it is now, I'm drinking agbo at home. Every supplement, take this one, take it. IFM vaccine, take it, this one. Just take everything. Because I don't want to find out how I will react to COVID-19. So that's it. So it's very important. Then increase in technology. Now, it is very important for us to focus on technology. That's the way to go now in terms of how to deal with this COVID-19. Not even COVID-19, pharmacy generally, technology. I don't need to talk about that anymore because pharmacists have already told us about the 3D in pharmacy. So technology is very important. Another thing about the technology is that it might even help us to fight the counterfeit drugs too. Maybe there's some website you have to create for us to go to scratch a batch number and put there to test whether these drugs are real one for us. And we need to educate everybody. Because I'm sure something like that is possible. Because I see some medication, they'll say, scratch something, send a text to social place. I see them. But how many people even do that? So we need to do a lot on that. Then healthcare organization too might help. So pharmacies have to focus on some of those HMOs because some of them, they have to do preventive medications in order to prevent people from using the money in the hospitals. So these kind of things we need to do. Then reliance on import. Well, this one, like I said, I did some work with Mikio industry. So this came out of part of the work we did together. So in case somebody said, I don't want anybody to sue me for plagiarism. So this is just about disclosure that this I got from Mikio. So, I mean, kind of thing to talk about the segmentation of the industry, the kind of drugs that you guys do, branded drugs, branded generic, and OTC. But it appears as if what I understand is that the one that gives us the most money is actually from the OTC. People now do self-medication. Of course, there's nothing you can do. There's no health insurance. So you have to take care of yourself. And people spend more money on supplements now. Even when they said I should take garlic, and I said I hate garlic, they said, don't worry, there's something that you can buy. Odorless garlic. Go and buy it. So I didn't have to go to a doctor to ask for that. I just went to a chemist and I bought it. So I'm just saying that if we can do that, then there's an opportunity, growth prospect for us in that area. People now take a lot of supplement. So I think we should spend a lot of money in that area as well. All this is just to look about how the industry has grown and what has happened. But most importantly is that, I mean, the industry has done well in terms of growing revenue from about 168 billion to 203 billion in 2014 to about 208 billion in 2018, which means that the industry too is, I mean, kind of growing, which is what we want to hear. But we just believe that there's huge potential for more growth. And I was just amazed when I said, hearing how they sell most of those medications in large markets. So, and I still wonder, how do people still get opportunity to import fake drug into the country when we have all this kind of opportunity? And I think there must be a kind of unity among all the pharmacies in Nigeria to fight that. I don't know, because I'm just worried about it today. How is it possible? We have a lot of pharmacists in Nigeria, we have a lot of pharmaceutical businesses, and yes, some people are saying importing fake drugs. And I'm sure it is not those pharmaceutical guys that, even people must import drugs, let it be registered pharmaceutical company that are importing the drugs, so that we can, not all those ones that they'll be selling to us inside the buses and moldwares. So that is what I say. I mean, here is just about the industry regulators and everything that I believe you all know already. But quickly, let me go into what I call opportunity and insight. And from that, I will start by saying that in the midst of every in the midst of every crisis, lies great opportunity. It now depends on what you focus on. Are you focusing on the crisis, or let me say the chaos, or the opportunity? I used to give people an experience of when I was working in Marina in 2005, 2006, thereabout. They were repairing that road, that Marina road. So it was a mess. The Joraga pulled everything around and everything, and it wasn't easy for you to drive on that stuff. So when people come to the market, they can't even get a chance to drive down to enter into the car park. So people were parking on the expressway. And what happened? Some of those area boys are going there quickly to make money. If you come down into the local government car park, you'll be paying maybe 100 naira or thereabout. But the guy will say, okay, it's 200 naira. Sure, you know, this place, trailer can bash your car, but I'll watch it for you. We are complaining. We are crying. We are complaining and bitter. But the guys are making a kill. In fact, when you go to the market, beforehand, when women go to the market, they will go from shop to shop, talk, gist, do family meeting in the market. They didn't do that anymore. Within 1 hour, at their back because the car is not safe where it was. So the turnaround, instead of 1 naira paid to local government for the whole day, those guys are turning around 200 naira every hour or at least every 2 hours. It's an opportunity for them. So when we are complaining of the chaos, they are just looking at us and say, look at these idiots. I'm making money. So that's the way it is. So in every crisis, I like to look at the opportunity. Let me start from the opportunity that comes from government expenditure, like I said. What can we do with them? This is the budget of each federal government and all the states for 2021. They are supposed to spend this money. But on what? And I believe that we can find a way to work with them, to see what we can do with them. And I think about it. What can we do for government? What about R&D? What about PPP? PPP, I mean, some of those guys have hospitals. Some of them even have ideas of doing some pharmaceutical business. Maybe there's something we can do together. I like the word of Pharma Park in Imo. Maybe we can approach more state government for the same thing. Say, give us a space and let's see what we can do together and put things together and do these kind of things for us. So that in that particular point, you can even get private investors to put money to generate power, generate these gas, and then everybody will be okay. You're able to do your business, rent a small space without necessarily having to start excavating yourself from ground zero. So that people can work. What about consulting? What about R&D for this state government? I don't know it all, but this just came to my head and said, hey, wait a minute. What can we do from this Earth budget that has come around? The next thing I'm looking at is, from this issue we have in terms of the economy, and that's why I said I'm going to be practical. The presentation is available as literature, but let's just talk about the one that makes sense. I found out that based on what has happened last year and this year, there will be rapid problem solving and innovation. There's no doubt about it. Plato said necessity is the mother of invention. Again, I go back to Madagascar with the Agbo. They made some money. They even sent the bill to Nigeria to pay for the Agbo that we didn't use. I mean, that's how it works. Now, look at the level of creativity that is happening, that people are just, coming up with different fascinations and all stuff. I think we should do the same to Nigeria. And that should help us to be very quick in our process. And even we should be just be giving out stuff that can, help us. And I say again, okay, the Panadol is okay, yeah, the analgesic is fine. But I think we need to be moving again into many other things as well. Preventive and even cure for so many other diseases that is more applicable to us in Nigeria. I've not had anybody talking about cure for Lassa fever. I've not had so many of the things that have been with us for so many long time. And I think we should start even making a lot of research into malaria too. How can we eradicate it completely ourselves? Another thing is global change in economic power. What we have seen is that crisis had made changes to happen year over year, century over year, and century. Beforehand, it was the year of expedition, when the British Empire was going about, Spanish expedition, everybody going about and seizing countries, seizing lands. That's why we are all speaking English or Spanish or Portuguese at this moment, and French. Then later on, there's a world war. When the world was open, then it become something more industrial. Britain started with the industry, large industry. Most of the things we have that time was proudly made in the UK. Even though if it is the slaves in all of the colonies that is producing all those things, proudly made in the UK. They had the World War I. Changed things, because after the World War, there's need for reconstruction and rebuilding. This need for rebuilding means that we can't be waiting for ships to take months before they come from UK to give us the equipment. We need to set up factories around and use trucks to move them around. US championed that. and started doing that nimble thing. China too came up on board, started it. Then when we did, then again, we started going into global supply chain, where companies started buying subsidiaries all about the country in order to be getting raw materials from where they are. And then they went into the cloud, started using internet. Pandemic has come now. I don't know who will take the leadership yet. For some reason, Israel is doing so well with his health thing. I don't know whether something will come up that just make Israel to become the go-to now instead of America or China that have been fighting for economic power. But I think Nigeria too should do something. We are 200 million people. There's an opportunity here. Maybe something will come out of here. And a lot of things that come out of here, actually, I understand that the Pfizer vaccine was done by Nigeria, unfortunately, in America. I mean, I would have loved that it's done here, locally here, so that we can say it's a Nigerian product. But things will happen. That's my belief. Another thing is increased resiliency for the next disruption. You know, there was a shock that Africa did not die of COVID-19 as expected. Even the likes of Bill Gates, who had been spending time and money to sort out polio and malaria, he was afraid that, what? If this COVID-19 should enter Africa, we just kill all of them like chicken. But it didn't happen. Why? I suspected two things at least. I can't remember the third one now. The first one is that maybe our preparation for Ebola helped us in Africa. It's only Africa that had Ebola. They've not been able to report, maybe a few persons that said they reported it was when he came to Africa to help out and went back to US and got sick, but she was healed. So it was Africa that faced Ebola. So maybe our preparation and what we have done then helped us. And if that is the case, that means that we have increased resiliency for the next disruption. Another thing is that the symptoms of COVID-19 appear to be very similar to the symptoms of malaria. Who among us have not had malaria before? It's not to cough and sneeze and do things. I beg, we have had it before. Is it what probably happened to give us herd immunity? I don't know. I mean, you pharmacists may know if you do your R&D. I'm just suspecting that might be the reason for it. And if that is the case, what I mean is that we are already resilient for such thing. And therefore, when another disruption is coming, we may be already prepared again. Now, in 1997-98 crisis, debt crisis in Asia, the Japanese, some of them, they were jumping from story building and killing themselves because of what they lost. But after that, there was a lot of rules and regulation, things to take things out, to make sure that things are smoothed out. So that in 2007, 2008, when we are having global financial crisis, no Asia country lost anything to that global financial crisis because they were prepared. So that resiliency for that disruption of one has helped them to prepare for the next. We are hoping that this one for COVID-19 too will make us better. Maybe we now know the importance of spacing out. I mean, we have some forests that some guys are, adding cows in. Maybe we should spread out there and build new cities so that there can be, ventilation all around and not crowding ourselves up to prevent pandemic. Another thing is policy shift. There will be it's an opportunity for us to introduce a lot of things that probably wouldn't have been possible when there's no pandemic. And that's what's happening elsewhere in the world. And I think Nigeria should do the same thing too. Another thing is increased level of cooperation. And that's what I'm seeing here now among the pharmacists. Madam mentioned ACPN, PSN. We need that collaboration. It doesn't matter that we are in different societies or whatever. We might be competing on a different level, but when it comes to this, we have to cooperate together and find a cure to COVID-19. And you can see that even in political parties in Nigeria, it is not a PDP or APC matter. It's a matter of we need to work together. It is not the issue of GT Bank, Zenith, Access fighting. They all came together to form COVID, to put money together to buy food and material for distribution to people, and now thinking of buying vaccines from AstraZeneca or COVAX, as the case may be, to Nigeria. So when crisis comes like this, you come together, to work together as a country or as a group. Systemic change. Things are, look at us now. We are just less than 20 here. But we have maybe more than 50 or 100 online watching this, joining this conversation. That's a systemic change. I mean, when the chairman called me, he said, I hope you are not COVID shy. So if you want to be COVID shy, you can join us online. I said, well, I am COVID shy, but I would like to be here. It's always nice to come around and meet with people, despite what it is. But what we are saying now is that we are not flexible. 2 years ago in my company, even 3 years ago, 2018, I was trying to introduce flexible work. It was a fight. No, it won't work. I said, look, let people just choose when to come to work. 8 to 5, that's the work time. Okay, if I want to do 9 to 6, let me do it. If I want to do 10 to 7, let me do it. So that instead of rushing to work before 8, I can come after the early rush hour and then come later on. I said, no way. Okay, instead of 4 5 days in a week, let me do 1 day off at home and work from home. How will you be able to monitor productivity? It's going to be difficult. COVID-19 has forced us now. In fact, we find out that people are more productive working from home. Because the time they spend in traffic, they use it for you. Instead of waking up at 6 o'clock and start coming and they are already tired before they get to work, they wake up at 7, they start work immediately. In fact, I had to tell the IT guy that I wanted to shut down the server by 7 o'clock every day. Because people work in the midnight. I said, shut it down. I don't want to be taking care of health afterward. Even me, I'll be worried and say, how will I justify that I've worked today? Because they're not seeing me. I wake up, I get down, I sit down in my study, and I'm there till 7 o'clock before I go. I'm like, what's happening here? No walking about. I used to do exercise before. When I come back from work, I'll walk around the exercise. It doesn't happen again because 24-hour people, you can call you now. Maybe it's phone now. Just let's talk now. So you want to go for meeting beforehand? You take some time from one building to the other. Now they say, well, you just click the button. It's virtual now. So you do 3 to 4. You're starting 4:01 to 5. No break in between. So people are working. So that's the systemic change that is going to happen. And then that one too will happen into what kind of need that we will need as time goes on. In terms of residential, we need to live and all stuff like that. Then there's going to be emergence of talent. In this kind of situation now, you see people that will show character, that will show capacity to do things better. When this thing started, somebody came, he said he has done a watch that can measure your temperature and something that can make you know whether you are already COVID-19 positive or not. I was like, wow. One guy did a machine that you'll be pressing so that you won't even use your hand. It's just leg to press, wash your hand, do things, sanitize and everything. Interesting. So those are the kind of things that you'll be seeing. Guys will be coming up now with different types of apps and stuff for us to work from home or make things easier to make health work. Even in pharmacy, I've seen somebody that said they want to do something. I forgot the name they want to call it, but it's a technology-based stuff that can make you probably, check for medication, like Net Doctor, but that will be focused on Nigeria, not the one that after you finish, you say, go and consult NHS. That in Nigeria, there's nothing like that. You want to buy anything, buy it, except for controlled drugs. So what the pharmacist will need to do too, and I want to advise is that let us also see e-commerce as part of our work. In other words, so that we can join them together, technology to even distribute whatever it is that we know, because people don't know about many of these things. We need to educate them electronically. We need to educate them, and we need to make our product available to them too. So that's the kind of talent that we need to do. What are the lessons for Nigeria from this COVID-19? I'm going to round up very soon. I just want to talk about 3 countries who have come from crisis to become dominant today. Japan was the second economy before China beat them to it. They were next to the US. But this is the same Japan that in 1945 was leveled, practically leveled for the war, for the war. World War II, where US dropped a bomb in Hiroshima. That was the problem. That's why you see that chart. This is the period of time when they had that war. But when that trouble came, they didn't just fold their hand and say, God help us. Like in Nigeria, inshallah, this one, God, no. They used their hand to work, and God blessed their handwork. They moved, and since that time, see the growth. They moved past Britain, became second to US by year 2000. What did they do? They focused on 3 things. Number one, they first of all they call it recovery space. Let us rebuild the industry, because we know that that's what we need. The pharmaceutical industry, the agriculture industry. Let's focus on them so that we become a producer. At some point, if it is not Japanese made, we don't want to buy it. That's what they did after the war. And the second thing they did was that human capital. We have built this industry. And that, again, just putting back to what Pharmacist Solani said, he said we lost the chance because those that have the capacity to do the vaccine, they're probably no more, old or they're dead. That's what this guy did. Let us transfer knowledge, build up the education sector, build up the health sector, so that we have human capital development. That's what they did. And that's what we've seen that happen to them. The second country is China. You know, China faced famine in the 50s. They faced famine. They lost about 10 million people to hunger. That's how bad it was. And then they started building up. Look at them. That's the green chart. The green line. That's how China started. They were nowhere in 1960. In fact, at that time, that was where they have just kept coming out of the famine. And then they started moving on. Now they are number 2 in the world. And I'm sure in the next 5 years, they'll be number 1 if America is not careful. Now, again, part of the things they've done, they imitated people. Yes. That time it was China. China made, don't buy it. Today now, even when you go to US to buy things, it is made in China. The only thing is that at least they make it to the standard of America. Unlike us. When I wanted to buy the generator, they told me to buy a Perkins engine. I said, why? Because that's the one they know how to handle in Nigeria. But the Perkins engines, there are so many ways adulterated. The only way you can be sure of is if you bought it in UK. Because Perkins is not done in China. And the one that they come directly from China to Nigeria is not up to standard, according to them. So what am I pointing out is that yes, there are China products that are substandard, but there are ones that are good quality too. One of the best phones now globally is Huawei. And that is a Chinese phone that was useless years ago. But they copied iPhone to the extent that they now sell more expensively than iPhone, even in China. Beforehand, what I was taught, even in business school, they taught me, which I'm relearning now. Well, I've relearned long ago anyway. When GT Bank can even do it locally, I saw it. Is that when you want to start a market, you don't start from the lower hand to the upper hand. You start from the upper hand to the lower hand. And that is what the likes of GT Bank did. That's the likes of what Zenith did. They started from the corporate, then they walked down the ladder to the retail. So that the retail guys were happy to belong to the class of the upper class. That's why when GT Bank started, people were going to GT Bank to open an account just to be able to take photographs in front of the office. Okay, how beautiful this branch is. Me too, I'm using this kind of branch. Fantastic. It worked. But I've also seen the opposite. Promasidor. I mean, it's unbelievable. I was in university when Promasidor started. The only reason, beforehand, you buy Team Milk or Pick Milk or Kakanation or Canada Best or whatever their names were. I remember some of them that time. Coast, all of them. When you buy the Team Milk, you make sure that you are 10, that you can share it and finish it once. Or you put it in cup with water so that ants will not go into it. You know, fridge is not that very popular at that time. So that's how bad it was. So in a family, if you don't use that milk after 2 or 3 days, the thing will just clot and become bad. So it was a challenge for you to have something that is accessible that you can use and dispose immediately and move on. Then cowbell just came all of a sudden. Who cares? It's like a chalk. At least it turned my tea from black to white or cream or so whatever. That's okay. We weren't bothered about quality at that time. What we were bothered about was affordability, availability. They used to do 2 types. There's a small one meal. There's a bigger one they sell for 3 meals, whatever. Well, okay to buy 5 naira or 10 naira or something ridiculous. But it was okay for us. It was a joke before there. If Peak doesn't want to change their brand to be doing lower market, they have to introduce 3 Crown to be doing that part at some point. But now, even Peak is doing such a now. And today now, Cowbell has introduced Mixie, Cowbell, Lawyer Milk, that is fighting in the premium market with Peak Milk. Now, if they can start from that lower hand to that upper hand, then that means that's the same thing that China did, from lower hand to China. So we can do the same thing too. Maybe we should ignore the government if they are owing us too much money, and let's focus on the retail guys who can pay cash and move on. It will take more work, no doubt about that, but we can use technology, retail outlet, and stuff like that to catch them to get what we want. But just find out that it works, largely speaking. So China did it. Another thing they now did is that they created competition among their regions. They give power to the head of the region to do well and make his region competitive, attract investment, and make things work there. You fail, and in China, If you set target, you fail, they can kill you. Okay, you're supposed to meet 100 million a year and you make 95 million. Sorry, you didn't make up. Go and kill him. The next guy will die on top of it to make sure that it works. I'm not saying we should keep people here. I'm just saying that they set target and they make people go after it rather than rank seeking that we do in Nigeria. The last one in the country that I'm looking to focus is Rwanda. Less than 20 years or about 26 years ago, that country was in crisis. There was a genocide. In fact, up to 2000, they are still trying to recover from it. Today, everybody's talking of Rwanda as an investment destination in Africa. How did they do it? I mean, what I know, that I've read, that I've seen, everything is that they make the place attractive to people to come in. I'm so sorry about the presentation. I mean, I'm trying to speak to both the we operator and even the policy maker. Some of you guys here, you are policymakers too. You are very close to the authorities, so you may be able to tell them what we are saying and see whether they will do all of the work. So what did they open up? Attract professionals. They started growing their thing in terms of what they call ease of doing business. How quick can you get license to do whatever it is that you want to do? They make sure that they do it quickly and everything. It appears that it's working. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was hearing how Lagos State government was so angry about an hospital that sprang up in Ghana. I think it's an hospital or something. I can't remember. That sprang up in Ghana. Why? Those guys came to him first in Lagos that wanted to do this. But part of the condition they want is that, look, we want to make a special arrangement for visas, for people that want to come into the hospital to work, and those that want to come and use the hospital facilities, just like you go to Dubai for medical tourism. Nigeria couldn't give them. You know, our red tape is terrible. Silly, I don't know what is causes to do all those things. Who is coming to Nigeria? What is important here that you are fighting for visa? Give them, let them come. What are they? I don't understand. Americans talk about how difficult it is for them to get Nigerian visa. I'm like, really? Really? Interesting. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Now, those guys have finished everything. In fact, Ghana gave them more than what they asked for. They finished the hospital and started work there. There's a school in South Africa, a business school. They wanted to, when we start having problem with foreign exchange, they found out that they are losing money from Africa, and Nigerian students are major of their students. They said, okay, you know what? Let us come and create a local school. We'll make everything local so that most of the money we need will be local. Then there won't be any need to remit dollars again. They came to Nigeria. We will not give them the thing they needed. So they had to go to South Africa. School to South Africa today now. It's like an offshoot of Harvard. We always have that problem because of this issue. So what should Nigerians do as I'm rounding up? First thing is, I said, number one, we need to reform our policy for self-sustenance. President Trump and a lot of others that learned from him, they have shown us that protecting your economy is not something totally bad. America first. America first. That's the word they use. And every other person, they're doing the same thing too. So why can't it be Nigeria first? So let's protect our industry, indigenous industry as well. So that, I mean, there's nothing particularly wrong about it anymore. So therefore, let us ensure that areas of food protection, and I think some things are working, just that I think this government too, they have problem with communication. And again, engagement and explaining what they want to do. They just do things draconially. I think the process of rice wasn't too bad. And what we have seen in terms of development is costly to start with, but we can just tell people and see where we can make things better and put the price down. Because imagine we are still importing rice from Thailand, from other places during this COVID-19. There will be tenants that will be importing COVID with all those things that they are bringing into Nigeria. I might just make our case worse. This is just my personal opinion. I may be wrong. But I just feel that area of food development, we need to spend more time here and protect the country on it. If you ban rice, I don't mind. But we must have a plan. It's not just something we just ban outright. It must be a plan. Okay, this is what's going to happen. How long do we have? Can we have capacity locally to feed the nation? So we should stagger that our ban or whatever it is that we're going to do to ensure things work. You may not even make it outright ban. You just use tax or tariff to make those ones more expensive than the one that is local. And people will have the choice for themselves. And we need to be deliberate about this to patronize local industries. You'll be telling us to go and buy innocent vehicles, and the next you'll be buying Mercedes-Benz Maybach. It doesn't make sense. I mean, as bad as the military were at that time, I remember that President Babangida was using a 505 Peugeot. assembled in Nigeria, if not manufactured in Nigeria. I think we should go to do that as well, largely speaking, so that most of the vehicles that we use by government entities in Nigeria will be local, or things, and so many other things like that. So, and the reform should be extended to extraction of all resources in Nigeria. Everything we do, let's reform them. Gold, everything we extract here, let's protect our local industry as well. Then I think collaboration with private sector is very huge. We have seen the capacity of the private sector. Look, everywhere in the world, private sector is sharper than the government. It's even worse in Nigeria where we use quota system for federal government job or government jobs. That's why a lot of times you see people pulling people from the private sector to come and work in government, in public sector in other countries because they know that they are sharp. Look, forget it now. You are using regulation to block me. I must be sharp to find a way, or else I will die. I must survive. So the operators are sharper. So you need them to help. So they must collaborate with us. Government does not have business being in some businesses. Leave it to the private sector. And I believe that those are the kind of things that we should be. Government should make private sector the engine room of development. Everywhere in the world, the small businesses that the guys that collect to form the government and make things work for them. Then they need to encourage healthy competition among the states. See, all these, I don't know, I don't want to use the word resource control thing, but I think we need to really sit down and look at the fiscal incentive system and look at what works. All these ones that somebody will just sit down, doing nothing and collect allocation at the end of the month, it doesn't make them competitive. It doesn't help them. They need to think out of the box themselves. They need to optimize their revenue, see what they can do. If what that means is that people should control their resources, I don't know what it is, but we need to think out of the box. It shouldn't just be, this is status quo. We're afraid. People hate change, I know, but I think we need to think of tomorrow and not just about past and today. And that's what I think about that part. And the next thing is that government need to make deliberate investment in infrastructure. And this is important because I felt that once government can get himself out of business that it doesn't have business to be in, you'll be able to free capital for itself to continue to do infrastructure development, transport infrastructure, education infrastructure, health infrastructure. We need to build hospitals everywhere in this country. I mean, if you don't even build the hospital, we need to have healthcare insurance system. Maybe the money they should be spending is just to provide insurance for people to say, okay, go to this hospital and get treated. Because that's what happened elsewhere. The first thing is the clinics. Most of those clinics are small private clinics. Then you now have big hospitals that deal with chronic cases or issues that need to get to the hospital. We need to get to that level of that because this human capital we have is a good one for us if we use them well. But if you just let them be anyhow, every time I drive on the street and I see some able-bodied guys selling things on the traffic, I'm afraid. How much money would these guys make on that place? One day, and NSAS showed us what anything could be. The guys could be hungry, and they just start attacking anybody around. So we need to spend more money on that regard. So I believe that a post-crisis collaboration with the private sector should free the government of burden or providing services that can be provided economically by the private sector. And therefore, will allow government to focus on the provision of needed infrastructure, such as healthcare and education to support growth. Because as it is now, most of you people that are here, you are gurus in your work. But unfortunately, you may not be transferring knowledge. It is not intentional. It's just that because our system does not allow it to happen. Anytime I want to recruit people in Cordros, I have to do an academy and take them through a process of 3 to 6 months before they can be useful for what I do. Then what are they going to do in school? Like one guy was arguing, he said, the advent of Google and online does not, we don't need to go to school again. Because what you needed to do then in school was to memorize. But you don't need to memorize anything anymore. You just go to Google or YouTube, you see all the things there. So why are you bothering yourself? But all this is sweet. The only way it can happen and this could work is for leadership to work towards it. I use the example of Margaret Thatcher for what he did for United Kingdom. He was part of the people that dropped them from over-reliance on government. I mean, to a large extent, they crucified her, they did this and everything, but it helped. Because if the government has continued to carry the burden of the welfareism society they were building at that time, which was socialism at that time as a kind of a concern, I don't think if that country will be existing as we speak now. Part of the reason why they have crisis in 2000. So there was the need for some things to do. And she took that boldness to do things right. Now, I've just used that as an example. In Nigeria, leadership does not rely totally on the president. All of us are leaders as well. Some of us are contesting for position now. We should put this in mind when we get to that place, that leadership is not about even we that will become governor or senator or whatever. Even our staff, they are leaders too in their hand. And all of us are leaders in our environment. Whatever it is that we can change and put things straight to make, even our mentality, our discussion, engagement with the community and other people to educate them, it will help us to get to that level that we were. So finally, please pray for Nigeria so that this COVID-19 would be out quickly. I miss my people. I've not seen a lot of my friends in months, except on TTV. So I think I'm going to end my discussion here. Thank you very much.
Wow, that's great. Another round of applause for our guest speaker, Cordros Capital. Yeah, maybe time may not permit us to, really exhaust and ask plenty of questions, but this is a time for questions or comments. I don't know if anybody here in this room has any questions for him or a comment to make. We'll do that quickly, and then we go to those who are online to see if they have questions. Those online can use the chat, to drop their questions, or you can raise your hand if you have something to say. But we're a bit behind schedule, so we'd like for any question to be very, very precise and brisk. Please, I want to. What caught my interest is when you're talking about this yield market, and you're saying that it will remain low for 2021. And I think where my mind is going is, you heard us talk about the farmer park. We need some funds to get to that park, to do the infrastructure before, not before, but we need to do that infrastructure to attract, yes, that's the word, to attract companies to come and take space there and build. And that infrastructure will entail road network, power supply. It's just like co-location. So the benefits of co-location will drive down costs, make us more competitive and all of that. So right now, it's an issue of funds. We need funds. So how do you think we should go as a society, trying to drive this? Then also for our members, as you mentioned, we've been trying to call government's attention to the fact that, medicine security is serious business. With this COVID and everything, many of our members that have tried to, assess foreign exchange, you recall that sometimes was quite tight. Even up until now, it looks as if people are still not able to buy from the banks. They still go through bureau de change, and and we are asking government to make these foreign exchanges available to the pharma sector, so we can buy what is needed to bring in medication to the country. Otherwise, we may face a situation where we're having a scarcity of medicines, even with the pandemic. Okay, is there a suggestion on how this could be brought about? But most of the time, it's as if you just go and find somewhere to buy. There was also a time when corresponding banks, as I understand, were not also paying, I think for those who do letter of credit or something. So you have something to pay, you have the money here, but you can't get it paid to your supplier. Okay, so some of these challenges, maybe you can speak to them. I don't know if any other person here has a question to ask. Okay, maybe you take that while we look at the chat room to see other questions there.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Lovely questions you've asked, and very difficult and tough one too. The farmer park, yes, I understand that, and it's quite a very laudable project that society is doing. But in a project of that nature, what usually happens is that there will be somebody that is anchoring it. If the society wants to do that, that's fine. There's no problem about that. But there are two ways in which, I get that. Even if the SPV, there's somebody that is sponsoring the SPV. Is it the society, or you have a private person that you put it to be handling? That's what I mean by saying we're handling it. So even if you have an SPV owned by the society, it's fine, no problem. That is just to separate it. But there are two ways to. So it's either the SPV tries to raise the money that I need to do, and that means that for each of the infrastructure and activity that you want to be in that place, we have to estimate the cost and the revenue that we expect to generate from that to pay them. So we are going to do like a cash flow for 5 to 10 years, or what can happen in that sector. If we get what it is that we can get from the park, we can use that to model what kind of money we can raise and say that. Other alternative is to break it down into different requirements and look for people to come around to do that. We've done things like this before, where you have some people that are interested in doing the power part. Whether it's solar or it's gas generation, whatever, they will be the person to sort it out, and they will power the entire industrial park at a fee. They will meter everybody, and they collect their money back. That's their own work. They'll be able to know what it is to take and how much, based on the design of that park and how many tenants will be there, or kind of, or let's say occupants, as the case may be. So they'll do that. If you want to have hotel, you get somebody, as in, yeah, you might be an hotel in that place where people, that somebody will be the person that's interested in hotel, will look at the possibility of making money from that area, be the person to finance it and do it on his own. And if you want to have, say, shopping complex there, you get some people to do everything like that. Now, the only part that society will handle will just be maybe facility management, security, ensuring the place is done. So your SPV can do that. So we can do that. So because again, the challenge about it is that the society don't want to do that so that you don't put the debt on your head. But at the same time, even the SPV, you have to look at what works, that work. But the easiest one would be for us to look at the design of the park, what are the facilities and amenities I want to put there, and look at key people that can take each of those and sort them out. That's what. So like the road network, definitely the SPV will do that, because you can put a toll there to collect money. The water system, yes, somebody can do that and be charging people water rate every month. The power sector, yes, somebody can do that. So that we can take it like that. And even buildings and sector, you can even allocate land, and each person will build up what they want. You just have a design of what it is. So by that, you reduce the burden of debt on society itself, and just be on the kind of thing to do it. That's one. Then the next question you asked about FX affability. That one is hard, it's tough. But I will say this. I don't know how you have been approaching the government or CBN or whoever it is that you do to get your work, but like somebody advised us, when I say us, I mean the Association of Issuing Houses of Nigeria. That's issuing houses, which I work with. He said, issuing houses. He said, you may not be able to do business with a Dangote if you go, you Femi, and say, now you can come and give me business now for Dangote Cement. You may not be able to get business to do if you go to Bua and say, Bua, give me transaction now. But if 10 of you, 20 of you come together, collaboration, and say, look at all of us, this is what we have done so far. We believe that we can give you 100 billion. He will listen to you. So now, when you approach government, how did you approach them? Are you approach it as NAIP separate, PSN separate, ACBN separate, or everybody come together and say, we are the healthcare guys in Nigeria, and this is our challenge, and we want it resolved. What are we going through? So number two, again, coming together. If we have common suppliers, maybe you can work with them and tell them, like, guys, you need to find a way to come and localize yourself here in Nigeria so that we can give you our money locally. You can work with the government to take your money out using your capital importation. So those kind of people can decide, you can have an arrangement where you can be a local currency fund that can be taking money and be sorting them out in a way that will make the industry work. I don't have solution to that one particularly here now, because I have to look at what works, who are these suppliers, what can we do to work things around so that it doesn't give you so much stress. Once you release your Naira into that particular account, they release the good to you, and then moving money back to them will be sorted out in a way. But the one that might work for you is going to CBN to say, even if you are not giving us at a special rate, sort us out when we need it. So, because, there are two different things. Special rates, availability of fund. When we need $200 million, don't give us 20, it doesn't make sense. Give us the $200 million at whatever rate it is that's available at that time. We'll take it and move on, and that kind of thing. So those are the kind of engagement that I think we can have on that, because we are not generating effects on our own. We have to depend on government. And government will have to be managing different expectations and different people that need it. If at the end of the day, this medication that we are producing now, if we start selling them to other neighboring countries, we can ask them to pay us in dollars. And then it's easy to use those dollars to buy our raw materials. So it's a process. I believe it will take some time, but we'll get there. Thank you very much, sir. Yes.
Yeah, you say you manage what? Okay, like the foreign investment, for instance. I don't know if you're aware that in the last 4 months that you can buy the US dollars to put into your wealth fund management. Before now, you can pick up dollars in the black market or private market or from BDC. You pay into your account for them to manage your wealth. I'm talking about banks like Standard Chartered Bank and others. So today, as I speak to you, even if you buy your dollars over the counter, it's not allowed. They don't allow you to use that to manage your wealth. I don't know how you guys are able to do that. I mean, in terms of wealth management, those that manage wealth, for instance. How do you go about that, sir?
You're right. I mean, we don't take cash. It is transfer. We don't take cash. So I know. It's a challenge. So the way it is that, one thing that I just want us to understand is that anything that has to do with CBN is a short-term approach. CBN is an economic manager, and the approach is usually short-term. They are only trying to manage situation as at that time, what works. You know that at some point they even said that they are not going to take any money into domiciliary account. At some point they even said that they will convert all your money in domiciliary account to Naira. That they have to quickly come out with this. No, we didn't say that. Oh. You can keep your money. If you pay cash, you can only collect your cash back, except you are transferring out of the country. They've said again that you can transfer up to $10,000 for payment of stuff, sending out as usual that we used to do before. But the banks will not let you put money in and then transfer the money to me locally. Because once you do that, then it becomes circulating in the market. So they would rather let you move it out of the country to pay school fees, to pay medical bill, to pay mortgages. That's fine. But it's not acceptable for transactions of this nature that's what you want to do. Now, what I'm not clear about is if money is transferred to you from abroad, how do we treat it? So the reason why I'm saying that is this, sir. Okay, if you tell me now that I can transfer money from my account to abroad for any reason that I like. So if I transfer it and the person transfers it back to me, what happens? Just what I'm saying, sir. Because they said before that, no, if you pay cash, you can take cash. Because it becomes a problem. Because it now make people start saying, okay, give me all my money. I want all my money out of my domiciliary account. And it was putting pressure on the banks. I was okay, no, you can keep your money there. In fact, you can keep your money there and transfer it out of the country. So if you're telling me that I can transfer money, sir? Yeah. So up to 10,000, yes. Beforehand, even from the one, that's what it is before. If you are doing more than 10,000, they will ask questions. And you have to go to NFU and all those things. You do all those things. But if it is less than 10,000, you are allowed to do it. So I'm not saying now that if they allow me to do that, I can be doing 5,000. That's no problem. So if I send it to my friend and he send it back to me after 1 month, will it be acceptable in the system? I don't know. I'm just saying. But that's the thing. The most important thing is that they just feel that a lot of people are storing dollars as store of value, and therefore creating artificial inflation putting pressure on the dollar. And because of that, they want to stop it. So if you take your cash and you can keep it in your house, no problem. But now they've seen that down to has issues. They allow that you can keep your money in the bank. So you can buy your dollar, put it in the bank, but you can't transfer it to me. So yes, it's a challenge to us too. There's no doubt about it. But we only manage with whatever transfer is possible in the market. So if you want to transfer to us, fine. But cash, no way. We won't take cash. So if you're able to put your money in your domiciliary account and transfer to us and your bank allows it, we're fine. You can take it.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. We have a hand up. Okay. So, Meti, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sir. Please, let's have a question.
Good morning, and I must thank you for the opportunity to always invite us from out here in the diaspora understanding that we're very committed to the success of pharmacy practice, especially back home, improving the environment, improving the business environment, and helping with delivery of pharmaceutical services everywhere in the nation. I congratulate you and your team on the MOU signing at Ebonyi State for the Pharma Park. NAPSA is excited, and we hope that our continued partnership in helping to support NAIP will continue to grow even as we try to actualize the project itself. I must commend my Eastwell supervisor and senior pharmacist, Musadik Solari. Congratulate him on his election as president of IPS of the FIP. I want to touch on one topic that he mentioned, which is thinking globally. Over here in my pharmacy, I have drugs made in India, in China, in Mexico, in everywhere, except drugs made in Nigeria. So the challenge that most of us wish that we can come together as partners is how can we take advantage of that global market, especially the market here in America. How can we get products manufactured in Nigeria, certified and cleared by NAFDAC, be able to get into the warehouses in America from where we buy all our inventory. In the NAPSA Business to Business Group, we have over 300 stores that we buy together, and it would gladden our heart a lot if products made in Nigeria, as long as we can get certified that our factories are up to the DMP compliant, and NAFDAC and NAIP, and form a partnership with FDA and the wholesalers to get these drugs into the market space, where we would be more than glad to buy those things and put our shelves and contribute our quota in growing the economy and improving the pharmacy manufacturing environment in Nigeria. It's something that we hope that NAIP would put some energy into it and see the timeline. I'm sure over here, when you work with us, we would certainly bring our best to help you in trying to attain that goal. The second thing that the keynote speaker mentioned, thank you for a great presentation. He talked about technology and knowledge transfer. Yes, it's one of the reasons why a lot of us seem to participate in a lot of PSM programs to help with knowledge transfer on our best practices on our day-to-day experience. One thing I wanted to ask for NAIP, is it possible that NAIP can have a cadre of membership or associate membership, where you can open membership to Nigerian pharmacists that practice in the industrial space outside of Nigeria, Nigerian pharmacists that practice in the industrial space in the diaspora, that these people can help transfer their knowledge and their skills, the experience and the technology they have cutting edge at the moment, bring into the conversation, into the NAIP membership. I think that would help. We have people like NK Ebube, former NAPSA president, who is the CEO of a drug manufacturing company. We have people like Anayo Ikeja, very, very senior scientist at Pfizer. We have Nodu Iheme, former president. In fact, his products are in warehouses in America. We buy them and put on our shelves. We have people like Oluwaloba. I would pray that that NAIP can consider that type of membership. People pay their dues, but they can help transfer technology and knowledge. Talking back on the global access, I remember when I was at GSK in Nigeria, when I think they said when a drug makes its way into the American market, that company is totally made money. We have drugs that sell here typically $100. In developed countries, those things sell. In developing countries, those things sell for pennies. maybe $1. So you can imagine if you can get a product from Nigeria into the American market, you can see your top line sales grow almost at, I would say at least you're going to double your top line sales, if not a whole lot more, for a very efficient environment in which you can practice business. These two topics I just wanted to talk about, and I do thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Tometi, you're already a NAIP member, aren't you?
I've been co-opted into it.
His company is here. So it's really a wonderful idea and suggestion. And I think we are very much open to that. Because we too, amongst us here in Nigeria, we register and become members of NAPSA. So if you could do that for us, why can't we do that for the diaspora colleagues? So it's something that we may have to take to the ESCO and maybe to the AGM, which will soon happen in May. And I think it will receive, a very good attention. So that settles that. We'll take that up as part of what has happened this first bi-monthly meeting. Then the second one, I think we're already in conversation with NAPS on that. Just that I didn't want to mention it at our, when I was giving updates, because we are still at the rudimentary stages. But we are already in the process of signing an MOU with NAPSA as pertaining to the farmer park. And part of what you said at the second level was what the president of NAPSA, is pushing for. That if we have these farmer parks and we're able to produce medicines that of, WHO standard, or at least the standard that can be registered with FDA, okay, that will have a guaranteed market, as it were, given the number of pharmacies that we have our diaspora professionals run in the America. So what it means is once that product gets into the USA and it moves through those channels, and then what you're talking about now will begin to happen. So we have that very much in view. And we are hoping that once that MOU is signed, we also sell that to our members so that they take medicines very seriously. So when we have quality assured medicines here, that means we are already having a global outlook to it. And that's a very critical component of that farmer park, that whosoever is going to set up in that farmer park must have the necessary GMP to be able to export. And the farmer park is actually located in an what do you call free trade zone. Okay, so from there, we hope that we should be able to, they should be at least with the AFCFTA, Africa is also in view. We're not just thinking of Nigeria. So this other aspect that you guys are bringing from NAPSA is a wonderful, very wonderful idea. So we'd like to, latch on to that. So thanks so much. So we want to take a question asked by Igwenara Antonia. She says, based on the economic outlook of 2021, what areas should we focus on more in the pharmaceutical sector in Nigeria to impact the economy better? Sir, is this something you can just, please, you can stay here.
Let me read the question again, sir. Based on the economic outlook, what areas should we focus on in Nigeria to impact the economy better? Okay, sir, thank you very much for the question. There are two things, impact the economy and impact our pockets too. So I will take the two together because like I said earlier, I said that I think we should focus more on the OTC drugs, which seems to have the higher margin. And it seems that as it is now, where we are on our own in terms of taking care of ourselves with COVID-19. May God forbid that any of us contracted. So the way it is now is that, like I said, even me, myself, I've been doing self-medication, doing everything, odorless, garlic, this one, take everything. So what I mean is that supplement will be the area for us to focus on. Supplement, yes, supplement. It will be the area where we're going to work on. Multivitamin, I said it earlier too, those are what they call them. So that's the area that I believe that can help us. Because at the end of the day, some of them are more preventive than curative. Even at the same time, when we want to do cure as well, I think prevention is far, far better than cure. So a lot of people would focus on that. They will help them build our immune system And in all, it helped the economy. Again, you know, I said earlier that human capital is one great area we have to focus on. So, I mean, imagine that you are trying to transfer knowledge, and the person you are transferring knowledge to is not even sure it's going to be alive the next day because of poor health. Then there's no point. So that's why health and education join together. So I think our focus should be more on those areas that can help, and I hope that our regulators will help to quickly approve any new supplement that can help us to achieve this. I hope I'm able to answer you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, on this note, we'll try to round up so we don't stay here beyond 4. Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Ademola, for that wonderful presentation. A couple of comments at the chat room have been, commending you for your presentation. Before we completely leave this part of the program, we want to recognize a few more of our colleagues who joined us when you were making the presentation. We have with us Professor Lere Bale with us. Thank you, Prof, for being here. We also have Dr. Lolu Ojo, our past chairman, and the chairman of the PSN Committee on Documentation, Research, and Industrial Liaison. Dr. Lolu Ojo, we are proud of you. You are our ambassador. We thank you for joining us from this program. We have Maureen, Edemenwachuku, we had called them. Those were the people in the committees. We have Michael Enema with us. We have Olivia Osunwa. Thank you for being here. And the past chairman, national chairman of YPG, Dr. Peter Nimisi, we thank you for joining us. Our own Shola Deniola, you're here, we thank you. Pharmacist Siaka, when we called you for opening prayer, you weren't there. So now you are going to be ready to say the closing prayer for us. We also recognize the presence of Eugene Ikobi with us and Dr. Ifeanyi Okechukwu. Thank you guys for being here. Antonia, you still have another question for us? Oh, you said thank you. Okay, Antonia is thanking you for answering the question. So we are very delighted that a lot of pharmacists have joined us and NAIPians have joined us for this meeting. We hope that it has been of value to us. And on this note, we'll quickly wrap it up. So we want to call on our second vice chairman, Pharmacist Chinedu Mulia, to give a vote of thanks. And Pharmacist Siaka will lead us in a closing prayer.
I want to believe it was indeed a very swell time. While the speaker was talking, I was doing a comparative analysis of some of our past speakers. And I remember when the pure economists were speaking, we would just be looking until the end of the... we would just be looking until, let him land first. Then when he lands, please, can you break it down? Can you break it down for us, please? You know, when I was in pharmacy school and I tried to mingle with the economic students, a lecturer would say, oh, you're not a serious student. You're not a serious student. What are you doing with economists? But we now realize that... Sir, Mr. Femi Ademola, thank you very much. You were indeed a very captivating and intriguing speaker. You engaged our minds, our hearts, and our soul all through your presentation. Very jovial. And we were quite impressed with your knowledge of the industry. So I want to believe that we can confirm you a worthy ambassador on us. More so when we're talking about pharmacy and money now. Please find a space in your diary now. When you're thinking about businesses, pharmacy should be one. I want to thank all our guests who have come. Well, forgive me. I was almost going to say, as usual, who have traveled, who have come from afar, and to wish you journey mercies. I want to wish you a good bed rest. Some of you are in your sitting rooms, some of you are in your offices, some of you are wherever you are. I thank you very much for finding that time to be with us throughout this duration of the program. The Bimoli meeting keeps getting better and better every time becoming informative and more enlightening, and pharmacists are now realizing that they have to come out with their cocoon and mingle more. Very interesting to let us know that policy is key. Very interesting to also let us know that when crises come, let's not focus on the crisis. Let's identify the opportunities. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for being the brain behind this worthy meeting today. I want to thank those committees that have been set up to work. Pharmacist Benson just came in now. We took your oath on your behalf. Thank you very much for all of you who have graciously accepted your appointments. And of course, our number one pharmacist, our number one leader, Pharmacist Margie Samuhabu, who has deemed it fit to invite our first lady. Thank you very much. And of course, the only prince that we know of, former Chairman NAIP, always there, every time, he does show that he has a way of combining everything effectively very well. Thank you very much for being here. To our ESCO members who came in here, I know it's been a very busy day for all of us, 2 days. We've practically been away from work for 2 solid days. It's not easy. I want to thank all of you all. To our staff, thank you very much. I want to wish you all a blessed evening. As we end this program now, we wish you all the best in our next bi-monthly meeting. Thank you very much.
So we'll now call on Pharmacist Siaka Onimisi to lead us in a closing prayer. And we'll have the national anthem, and that will be it. So, Pharmacist Siaka, are you there? No, he is there, but I think, okay. Oh, he has disappeared. Oh, Pharmacist Siaka is not there again. Okay, so someone here will lead. Would you have another Muslim here? Do we have any Muslim here? Okay, Kamal. Kamal, can you hear us? Kamal Abu Said, can you put on your microphone and lead us in a closing prayer? Kamal in Ilori. Okay, Foley was here. Oh, he's not here again. All right, we just have to close. So, Sunday Ali.
Foley is still here.
Okay, Foley.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
Alaram. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, apparently this is supposed to be Muslim prayer, right? So I'll do so exactly like you said it. First of all, this is I want to thank everybody for participating in this meeting, and this is the first time actually I'm participating, and I will say that I'm not disappointed. Great speech by our keynote speaker. That was very exciting, just with the way my colleague that did the vote of thanks did exactly. He took our body, soul, everything on the presentation. Thank you very much. We commit I'll go to the prayer straight now. We thank Almighty Allah for allowing us to convene today to have this meeting. We thank him for making us start in peace, and we've actually ended in peace. Largely, we give praises to him that the objectives set out for the essence of this meeting were largely met, and all the deliberation did well. And for people that were convening to different committees also being able to achieve that, we give praise to Almighty Allah. And I would say that for all the future engagement we plan, all the plans that we have, and for those that are there at the venue, and for everybody that are in their different locations engaging in this meeting, we pray Almighty Allah that the essence of the meeting, the plan forward, and all the hopes and aspirations, it makes it achievable for all of us. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifu wa salamun alal mursalin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. In the name of God, the most gracious, most merciful, I pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Savior's call all men to serve our fatherland with love and strength and faith. The labor of our heroes was joy laboring in vain to serve with heart and voice. One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.